Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Watching the Boxes Fantasy Basketball Podcast. I am your host, Mike Catron, and joining me, as always, is my co-host, Tyler Watts. What's up, Tyler?
Not much, Mike. Just enjoying some preseason basketball.
Yeah,
talking some basketball, loving some basketball, I suppose.
Are you catching the fever in the Philly fever out there, watching Joel Embiid play in his first preseason game?
Let me tell you what, they're a fun team, regardless if they win a lot.
They are going to be entertaining. They are currently just smoke showing the Brooklyn Nets, and the Brooklyn Nets are going to be really, really bad. They're going to be terrible.
You would know terrible teams.
I would know. I will see a lot of one certain terrible team this year, but the NBA beginning is too close for me to be super depressed about the Chicago Bulls and their terrible management. Instead, I'm going to enjoy this 22 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists line from Joel Embiid in 15 minutes. I am frightened of Joel Embiid.
He is one scary human being.
We're going to talk about preseason pretty soon, but first, we're going to top off our Who Do You Draft series. And we did the top 8. We ran through the consensus top 8, and if you want to go back and listen to those, please do. I assume most serious leagues, or even just casual leagues, you'll be drafting sometime between today, whenever you're listening to this, and the weekend before the NBA starts, going into Monday. Some groups, some drafts actually draft on Tuesday, the day of the first games. Do you have any qualms against leagues that draft after the NBA starts?
No, I mean, I feel like even like up to the weekend, like it's not that big of a deal. I feel like drafting anytime is fun, so just have fun, do it.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. It's if you can only get your buddies together 5 days after the season starts, so what? I actually I saw a Reddit post not too long ago. Basically, some group of guys are going out to Vegas the weekend after the NBA starts to do their draft, which is a pretty cool thing to be able to get your friends together about. And he was trying to impose a media blackout for all NBA games. And the advice was just like, that's going to be completely impossible. Like, it's an incredibly noble idea, but like everyone's going to cheat. I'd cheat my ass off.
Well, and two, like, I don't know how that's possible in today's day and age. Like, you can't pick up your cell phone at all. Like, how would that work? Like,
yeah. How am I supposed to go on Twitter?
Your cell phone is connected to the internet, which is connected to, everything. So you're going to see something. I mean, it's impossible to, like, sometimes I'll be out or whatever, and I'll, like, tape something that I really want to see. And, like, okay, like, maybe, like, a few hours later, you can catch it without, like, getting it spoiled for you. But any more than that, it's, like, impossible. You always find out what happened, what the score was.
Yeah, the only thing I do, I impose a ban on all social media, self-imposed, anytime I don't catch Game of Thrones on Sunday night. If I have to watch it Monday, I tell people at work, if you are going to talk about Game of Thrones, you announce it ahead of time so I can leave the area, and then you can talk about Game of Thrones. I'm very serious about my Game of Thrones spoilers.
I'm going to start spoiling every Game of Thrones for you.
I will find you and stab you to death.
Please do.
Just like those little children did to the High Septum. You get that reference, Tyler? You're a big Game of Thrones guy?
I am not a big Game of Thrones guy, unfortunately.
No, it was not the High Septum. It was the old Maester guy. Anyway, don't worry about it. I'll start a Game of Thrones podcast some other time. But like I said, we're going to top off our Who Do You Draft with a listener request. We said we were going to do an end of the draft. Who do I draft? But a couple of listeners chimed in and said, "Hey, can you do LeBron James?" And I know LeBron James actually in a lot of leagues goes in that top 8, which the only way I can see you taking LeBron in the top 8 is at number 8 if you think Kawhi's injury is going to be somewhat serious this year. And we've been talking about Kawhi's injury, especially in the Kawhi episode, and we're not terribly worried about it. I think it's something to put your flags up about, right? And if I get to pick my draft pick, maybe I'm not taking 8, I'm taking 7. But I don't think I'm just going to take LeBron over Kawhi.
Well, then, my friend, you are not owning LeBron probably. He is 8th, 5th, and 4th on Yahoo, ESPN, and CBS. So he is a man going about town.
Yeah, I think you can tell which one of those rankings are legit and which ones are people who do not know their way around fantasy basketball. But every year there's even more and more new players in fantasy basketball, and they're going to have to learn somehow, and a lot of people do it for fun. So it's quite all right if people draft LeBron in the top 8. I just think you're probably making a mistake.
Well, and I mean, we talk about this a lot, right? It's supposed to be fun. If LeBron's your favorite player and you really want to take LeBron first overall, I mean, is that really killing your draft? I mean, think about it.
If LeBron's if LeBron's your favorite player, you're under the age of 19, or you are probably not someone I would enjoy talking to.
What if you're from Cleveland and you and LeBron grew up together and you're exactly the same age as he is?
Like I said, if you're from Cleveland, I would probably not enjoy talking to you. That's right, Cleveland. Shots fired. That's how it rolls in Chicago.
So, I mean, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think that kills your draft, though. Like, I don't think it's not like picking Gary Harris with the number 1 overall pick.
No. Let me take this back. You know, I'm a avid and LeBron hater in real life for many reasons, and actually some of them were documented. I actually overcame my LeBron hate during his championship over the Warriors. I still hate LeBron, but now I can watch him with the respect he deserves. He is, one of the best players of all time. Certainly not the best player of all time by quite a bit of a margin. But LeBron in fantasy, on the other hand, people don't understand why he's not. Well, he's the best player in the league. He's the best player. He averages 25, 8, and 8 every single year. Why isn't he the number 1 player? And there's a couple reasons. He does turn the ball over a lot. His free throws are super suspect, even though I think they will kind of go back up this season. But overall, in totals, in the last 3 seasons, he has finished 9th, 6th, and 8th, respectively. So he is not a number 1 player. In fact, he's not been a top 5 player in totals in the last 3 years.
Yeah, but I mean, if you get the 8th player at number 1, I mean, is that really the worst thing? Like, it's not. It's just not.
Oh no, it's not the worst. It's just there is a better way to play. But if you're picking, and I think we're going to take him we're going to do a 10-man head-to-head fake draft here, and I think we're going to take him 10th. I'm going to throw a little shade at LeBron. A lot of people are on Nikola Jokic, and I think a lot of people are going to be taking Jokic number 9, which means LeBron, who's actually, if you play with like people who are really into fantasy, they're not super into LeBron, so you could probably get LeBron at the 10th spot.
I think LeBron is definitely viable there. I think LeBron's viable at 9, and I mean maybe even 8 now. If, like you said, you're hating on Kawhi Leonard, so yeah. I mean, I think LeBron's somewhere in that range. That's where he should go.
I would take him at 9, actually, in a head-to-head league. In a roto league, not so much, but in a head-to-head league, LeBron's a very good pick. Like I said, 25, 8, and 8 just every year with a great field goal percentage. And so that's what we're starting out with. And we're going to go back-to-back picks right at the turn, the 10 and 11 picks. Some people love picking on the turn. Some people hate picking at the turn. Tyler, do you like picking at the turn? I kind of like it.
I like it as opposed to picking like right in the middle. I think it's nice to kind of be able to plan things. Obviously, you get quote unquote sniped a little bit more, right? You see guys dropping and you're like, ooh, I'd love to have this person there, and then he goes because there's so many picks between your picks. But I like it in the sense that I think I can plan a little bit better. I can build that queue up a little heftier and really take some time to think about what I want to do with my draft. Whereas my picks are coming kind of like every 5 picks, 6 picks, 5 picks, 6 picks. It's like, you know what I mean? I feel like it goes a little faster on you, and you can't really prepare yourself that much.
Yeah, and the only issue is that you do often have to reach down if you want a very specific player. If you're looking for somebody, you might have to reach down, a whole round or two, even if you think the player is going to get snagged before your next picks, depending on how big your league is. That's the only issue, but I agree with you. I kind of like the fact that you go boom, boom, you get two pretty good players at wherever you're at. And right here with LeBron James, who I consider a second-tier player, you are going to have your pick of really any other second-tier player other than we're going to say Jokic is off the board. But if Jokic wasn't off the board, wouldn't he'd be kind of an interesting guy to pick with him? A center who gets assists with a forward who gets assists. That could be interesting.
Yeah, I think too that we're going to get right into it. Obviously, that we're probably going to be punting free throws. It's going to be hard to make up for LeBron's volume at that percentage, just because there's not that many guys who shoot more free throws than LeBron, and it's 70% probably. So, I mean, it's going to be a big hole to dig out of. So you're probably putting yourself in that position already. So I mean, Jokic would be a good pairing, but I just don't think he's going to be available.
Yeah, I completely agree with you here that LeBron is probably one of the bigger punt candidates for free throws, and we talked about this in the Kawhi episode. Let's talk about it again. Really the top 8, we kind of ignored the pretty standard punting strategy of taking a DeAndre Jordan or Andre Drummond with your third and fourth round picks and just stacking up the bigs and blowing your free throws away, simply because I don't think you have to do that with anyone other than LeBron and possibly Giannis. Even with Giannis, I don't think you have to. You don't have to do any of that. But other than those two guys, I think you can survive an Anthony Davis shooting 78% from the line.
Oh, definitely.
And everybody else has pretty good percentages. It always baffles me to see people who are taking Steph Curry he doesn't shoot at a high volume, but still one of the best free throw shooters out there, and being like, I'm going to punt free throws. It's like, okay, I don't know why, but feel free.
Yeah, I mean, that first round pick, though, I mean, like, all those guys are so good that you're going to have to differentiate yourself somewhere anyways, right? If you're going to punt, you're going to punt. And so you might punt a category that the player you pick in the first round is good at, just because there's a lot better players available in other spots. For example, I mean, Steph Curry is not good at blocks, but if your next two picks are Chris Stapps and Miles Turner, you're probably caring about blocks, right? So it doesn't seem like it from that first pick, and that's why we always kind of talk about that first pick isn't really what you should punt from, because those first picks are usually pretty good at everything.
Yeah, definitely. That's why they're up there. So with LeBron, we're going to pick at number 11 in the second round. We get our choice of DeMarcus Cousins and John Wall. And I think either one of those picks would be fantastic. I could get behind either one.
So which one do you want?
I think that's a tough choice. We have talked over and over that there are kind of a nice crop of guards. And since this is a 10-man league, those guards usually show up in the 30 range, and we have two picks at 30 and 31. And since I kind of know that there's a decent crop of guards down below, I think I'm going to want to go with Cousins, because Cousins is such a unique beast of a man who's going to score like absurd amount of points, hit three-pointers from the center position, going to give you double-digit rebounds, and going to give you oversteal and a block a game, which really syncs up well with LeBron, who's going to give you 25, 8, and 8. You're going to get 25, 11, and 4 from DeMarcus Cousins, probably something around there. And you combine those two stat lines together, and you're already just dominating in points. You're great at rebounds, and your assists are still totally fine.
Yeah, I'm totally with you there. You got a beast of a team there.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's go LBJ and DeMarcus Cousins, and that way we really don't even have to worry about some of our bigs for a couple rounds. And certainly with the next picks, so we're gonna venture down to the third round for picks 30 and 31, and let's pull up our handy average draft position and see some of our old favorites down here in the third round, around 30. We obviously always talk about the same group of guys, but that's because we like this group of players, and you could see someone like Bradley Beal down there, and I think I would probably venture away from Bradley Beal because I'd want to get my assists because LeBron is so good at assists. I want a good assist guy, and I want a good rebound guy. I think that helps a lot. Is there anyone down here in the 30 range? Where Eric Bledsoe, Chris Middleton, we could reach down for Devin Booker, Dragic. Anyone in this range that you would probably want to go for? I know your boy Ricky Rubio is hovering down there in the 50s, but you might not get him at 50 and 51. You might have to reach down for even Ricky Rubio here.
Yeah, no, and I mean, if it's between Bledsoe and Rubio, I think I'd rather have Rubio anyways. So, I'm not super worried about that. This is all kind of that same group of players we talk about a lot. So I'm gonna let you take the lead here because you know who I want. I think you know who I want.
I do know who you want, and I think there's there's probably a billion ways you can go here. But picking at the turn here with 30 and 31 really allows you to look at the next two rounds and go, all right, who do I want? Because I'm not gonna pick until 50 after this. And I get two back to back right here. So you can look all the way, even though Ricky Rubio you might risk it and say maybe he'll be around at 50. I would not. I would not risk Rubio being around at 50. And so you say, I have good scoring. I need a point guard. Ricky Rubio is going to give me great steals, which I'm already pretty good at it. He's going to give me great assists, which will boost my LeBron 8 assists a game. And he fits. I think Ricky Rubio, I know we always go with Ricky Rubio, but the only thing I'm, I guess, a little suspect on is Ricky Rubio's field goal percentage, but I'm not really terribly worried about that either.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's not going to be a great field goal percentage, but at the same time, there's not going to be a huge volume of shots, so you can easily make up for that.
So we have to take a guard here, and I think we both are obviously just huge Ricky Rubio fans. We could take Eric Bledsoe, certainly. I don't think I'm going to go for a Klay Thompson or a Devin Booker or Bradley Beal type wing player, even one of our favorites, Chris Middleton here, because LeBron kind of supersedes all of them. And certainly if you wanted to hit a lot more threes, then maybe you would look at one of those guys. But I think you can get threes a little bit later in the draft. I'm not worried about my threes.
Yeah, no, not at all.
With the other pick here, in the 31st pick, which would be the beginning of the 4th round, do you want to go a big? I guess we could if we really wanted to do Chris Middleton. We could, but I like I said, I'm a little against that. Or do you want to go on a punt free throw strategy and take someone like Andre Drummond and DeAndre Jordan? I think that's completely viable here.
I probably do want one of those two in the strategy because we're already punting. Okay. And if you go over to hashtag basketball, right, and you can flick these rankings on yourself. So now you say, okay, punt, free throw. Okay, turn that on. And we're looking at total values here. That bumps up both. DeAndre Jordan is then the 11th best player in your league. And Andre Drummond is 17th.
Wow.
So, I mean, that's a significant boost for both those players, right?
Yeah, and I think you will definitely get one of them at this spot.
So here's my question. Which would you rather have?
So are you a little suspicious that Andre Drummond has been hitting his free throws during the preseason?
Don't think that's a real thing.
Not at all. Not even going to entertain the idea.
No. Not a little bit. No.
So you're really asking, do you want someone who is a little bit better? So like the difference between these two guys is really one of them is a little bit better at steals and the other one's a little bit better at blocks. That's really it. I guess DeAndre Jordan does have an incredibly high field goal percentage as well, but that's your major difference here. If you look at who we've taken, and I guess we could, maybe back up a little bit and say, well, why didn't we just take Gobert with our second pick? And that's just because, well, why take Gobert when you could get DeAndre Jordan and Whiteside later in the draft, and you can get a monster of a center who hits 3-pointers like DeMarcus Cousins. That's the reason I wouldn't take Gobert, even though Gobert is definitely a better player than both Andre and DeAndre.
Yeah, and this is where I think people make the mistake, right? Like I said that DeAndre Jordan is ranked 11th, right? Well, DeMarcus Cousins is ranked 10th in these punt free throw rankings. So he's the better player, even punting free throws. But I think people make the mistake of passing up on a player that is not coming back around for drafting one of these guys super early, like at pick 15 or 20, they'll go for Andre Drummond or DeAndre Jordan. It's like, but you could have had someone so much better and had them with your next pick.
Yeah. Why waste that pick when at least one of those guys is going to fall to that to the third round, fourth round pick, especially at 30-31 in a league like this. I'm actually, since we have taken Ricky Rubio, DeMarcus Cousins is good at steals, and obviously LeBron is solid at steals as well. Since we already have a pretty good, I guess, group of steals players. None of them are great, but they're pretty good. And LeBron's obviously got a great field goal percentage. I'm going to go with DeAndre Jordan simply because he's going to give us a little bit more blocks and he's going to get us field goal percentages. Do you want to go Drummond or is DeAndre Jordan your pick?
In a vacuum, I think I'd rather have Drummond just because I think the rebounding is relatively the same, right? And the assists are relatively the same. Drummond's going to give you a little more points, which is still the third round, so points are important. You mentioned the steals and the blocks, how that's going to reside, but I also think Drummond's getting hated on a little bit because he had a bad year. But I mean, every year for the last 3 years, right, we've picked Drummond over Jordan, and now all of a sudden that's flipped. Like I think Drummond's the younger guy, Drummond's the better guy, and I think I'd rather have him.
Yeah, if he accidentally starts hitting his free throws, and I've said this for a handful of years, just shoot underhand, Andre Drummond. You're gonna make your money. You're gonna make your money back in endorsements alone by shooting underhand. You'll be on a Fruit Loops commercial of tossing underhand Fruit Loops into a bowl. Like the possibilities are endless. Just shoot underhand and get yourself paid. That makes absolutely no sense for you to be shooting 35%.
Fruit Loops underhanded? Why is someone shooting Fruit Loops?
Listen, I was not a marketing major, but it's better than half the commercials out there. So, I mean, I would watch that commercial. So I don't think you can go wrong here. Take either one. We're going to take, since I got to take the last one, even though we both liked Rubio anyway, we'll go with Drummond. I think Jordan here is also perfectly good. He's going to help you with the blocks. And so we got LeBron, Cousins, Rubio, and Drummond. That's a very beefy team. I really like that. We really don't have – our points have kind of suffered simply because we went with Rubio and Drummond back-to-back. Our three-pointers are not that great. And our blocks are a little suspect as well. But we're going to be dominating people in rebounds. We're going to have great assists and steals, and we're going to have great field goal. So to me, I think we need to go back and get some more points and more three-pointers with our next round pick. That's kind of what I'm looking at. That's the things that we need to boost. So a lot of people look, I want to punt free throws. Who's the next guy who gets bad free throws? And that's definitely not the way you want to look at it. The way you want to look at this goes, all right, I'm ignoring free throws. I don't care who my next guy is when it comes to – I'm not going to look at his free throws when I'm judging him. What am I good at and what am I mediocre at? And should I get better at what I'm good at? Or should I get better at what I'm mediocre at? And that's how I approach. I think that's how we both approach our drafts.
Yeah, 100%.
So our next picks in the 5th and 6th round are going to be at 50 and 51. So a ton of people just went off the board. And we're going to have to just deal with whatever we get here. And we're looking at some of our old favorites, our Dennis Schroeders, our LaMarcus Aldridges, our Vujovic's, and our D'Angelo Russells. Drew Holiday is a little bit more interesting now that Rubio is going to be out for at least a month or so. Victor Oladipo is still available in some leagues at this point. Elfrid Payton, if we wanted to like say, hey, forget points, which I don't think we should, simply because we have LeBron and DeMarcus Cousins. I don't think we should forget points at all. So I'm leaning towards someone who's going to score a lot. And this is often when we look at D'Angelo Russell or Dennis Schroeder. That's usually who we end up looking at in this position. Is there anyone else, maybe even an Andrew Wiggins, perhaps that we could maybe think about here?
Well, that's a good question. What do you think Wiggins is going to score this year with the new Minnesota talent pool? I actually think Schroeder scores more than Wiggins this year. Is that crazy?
Ooh, wow. Put it on the board. That is that's a bit of a hot take, I think.
Well, I mean, let's think about it, okay? We've got Towns and Butler, right? If you watch the games, right, I've been really into their games, and they haven't played that many because they did the China thing, China trip. I mean, it wasn't a thing or anything.
It was a bit of a thing.
So they did that, and they played the Warriors twice, which anytime you play the Warriors, that's not the best gauge of what your team's going to look like because the Warriors are crazy good and crazy hard to guard and just cause a lot of problems. So, I mean, I'm not trying to put too much stock into this preseason, but I think Butler's going to handle the ball a lot. I think Teague is probably still going to score like 13 to 15 points a game. I think Towns is definitely going to be in the 20s. I think Butler's going to be in the 20s. So, I mean, how many can Wiggins score at that point? Like,
I think Wiggins will approach 20.
And I'm with you. Isn't Schroeder going to approach 22 with other stats?
Yep, I'm not going to disagree with you. And the other stats that he gets are so much more valuable than what Wiggins is going to do. Because we've said it before, we said a million times. Wiggins definitely scores a great place to get late points in any draft. But we're not that late. We're in the 50s here. We're not down in the 70s and 80s. We're picking 50-51. And well, you could reach down for Wiggins here, who does fit our build. Why? When you have someone sitting there like Dennis Schroeder, like you were saying, who is going to approach a very similar amount of points, but is going to be able to get assists and the occasional three.
And here's the only category really where I think Wiggins is definitely better. There's really only two. I mean, well, he's going to be a little bit better with his field goal percentage, right? He's going to be a little bit better in blocks, and he's going to be a little bit better in rebounds. But 7 assists or 2? Oof. I mean, that's a big gap there. Plus, we need threes, and he's going to probably average about half a 3 more game too, I think, Schroeder. So that's a big get. That's a nice little incremental gain there.
Yep, I like where your head's at. I like where you're going. We could do. I think Dennis Schroeder has got to be one of our 2 picks here. And I'm gonna pencil him in. And with our last pick, which is the very next pick, we could still go in the same directions we were thinking about. We could still go D'Angelo Russell. We could reach down for Robert Covington, even though Covington. Do we really need the steals? Do we? He doesn't score a lot. I'm kind of interested in a guy who will continue to score. So someone like Oladipo that you could probably play at the 2 or the 3, depending on where what that rotation looks like, or a D'Angelo Russell. Is there other than our old favorites? Is there anyone else you're looking at in this spot here?
Not really. I think that everybody else you kind of reaching a little bit too far down for, a little bit further than I'd want to reach. Another interesting guy, maybe, and maybe not the best fit for this team, but is probably a punt free throw guy, is Ben Simmons. Simmons is getting picked right around this area, and it all depends on what you think Simmons is this year. A lot of people think Simmons is going to be a light version of Ricky Rubio.
Yeah. I think he could probably score perfectly fine. He's obviously not going to shoot threes. He's not going to shoot a ton. But tonight, in 25 minutes, he had 8 rebounds, 6 assists, and 3 steals. Do we need to layer in another Ricky Rubio and ignore our points, or is it okay just to go for a guy who isn't going to average that much stuff, like D'Angelo Russell or Victor Oladipo? And Oladipo kind of fits our point free throw mold that we've been looking at.
Yeah, I actually think Oladipo probably shoots a better free throw percentage than D'Angelo Russell this year. That might be crazy. I don't know if it is. Oladipo would be the number one guy I want. Then probably D'Angelo Russell. I just mentioned Ben Simmons just to say somebody different here.
Yeah, no, I like that thought process. I actually like Ben Simmons as someone. If we didn't ignore points as much as we did, I think I would actually be looking towards Ben Simmons to fill out the roster.
Yeah, so I mean it's just a different name.
Aaron Gordon might be someone you would want to reach down for here, because this is the tricky part, because you're not going to pick till 70.
The question for me,
a lot of guys are going to go.
About Aaron Gordon is, what if Aaron Gordon is what Aaron Gordon has been every other year in his career?
No, I'm not on board with this.
But see, here's the thing: he's always
22 years old.
He just doesn't get the minutes.
He's 22 years old. He's never played with the same coach more than a season, and he's finally got the same coach that he had last year, and they're going to play him at the 4.
I just don't want him as a top 50 pick. Now, does he have the upside to be a top 50 player? Sure. But I think you're baking out a lot of that upside, and it's just like taking anybody. You want to reach down for anybody, right? Like, I mean, he is the 79th ADP. Like, I just don't want to reach down that far and take out a lot of the upside that's baked into that pick, right? Like, anybody sounds good, but if you want to pick Robert Covington at pick 30, well, I love Robert Covington, but that's not the best pick. I kind of think that's where we are right now with Aaron Gordon at pick 51. Is like, it's just a little bit too high. I want him at like 60. If I can get him after 60.
This is my point, is that you're at 51 and you're not picking until 70. And so if you really wanted someone like Aaron Gordon or Gary Harris, you're risking the fact that he's not going to get picked for the next 20 picks, but I think both of those guys will.
But my point is, I have to be happy with that, I think. Because
you have to want that guy.
If I have him at 60 in my rankings, which is about where I have him, okay, I have 10 more guys still on my board. I have to, right? At least. Maybe I have more than that, right? Because maybe someone reached down and picked somebody I didn't have up there. But I have 10 more guys on my board in front of Aaron Gordon at this point. So I don't want to reach all the way down for Aaron Gordon. Now, if I had Aaron Gordon ranked at 50, maybe I would, right? Because we can both say that Yahoo and ESPN and whoever's doing these ADPs and these drafts are wrong. But I'm telling you, I have Gordon at 60 on my board. So I definitely don't want Aaron Gordon here. And that's not to say that I don't like Aaron Gordon, because I love Aaron Gordon. I hope to God that he finally gets over 30 minutes a game and they quit just jerking the chain. But it is Orlando. It's important to remember.
Yeah, it's still Orlando. It's still a completely dysfunctional franchise, probably more dysfunctional than the Chicago Bulls. Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying. It's not a value pick, but when you pick back-to-back, sometimes you have to choose, go with your heart over your head if you really want to go with one of those picks. And I would agree at like this high of a pick, though, you got someone like Oladipo sitting on the board, someone who is probably going to be top 50, if not higher, if he becomes kind of a breakout, reverts to his old ways in Indianapolis. That's probably the better pick, and I think that's the one we're going to go with.
And here's the difference for me, right? Like, Gordon has shown flashes of being a top 50 player in his career, right? Like, he's played like little short bursts where he's gotten the minutes and he's been a top 50 player, but he's never been super high. Oladipo has had spurts, like after the All-Star break one year. I'm pretty sure it was like the 22nd best player. Was that last year when he was with the Magic?
His final year with the Magic per game, those last couple of months, I think it was much higher than that. I think it was actually in the top 10.
Okay, and so you see what I mean? Like, he's shown these little spurts, these little bursts of like, wow, he can really be really, really special. That's the kind of upside I want at pick 50, right? I don't want the upside of maybe he's like the 40th best player, right? Like, I want to get a guy who may be a top 30 player, like I think Oladipo can be.
And I think you're making a really good point about how kind of a better way of evaluating talent, right? Is that, all right, is the talent there? That's obviously number one. Have you seen flashes from this guy, and what kind of flashes? How consistent are those flashes? How long do those flashes last? And the length of flashes from Aaron Gordon have been good, but the length of flashes for Oladipo have been longer and higher. And then you got to go, well, what about playing time? That's the most important question you should be asking. What about their playing time? And Oladipo is running the Pacers. He's running that team. Well, like we said, Orlando, questionable franchise.
You got to feel that Oladipo's like absolute floor is what, like 32, 33 minutes? Like he's going to get that pretty much no matter what, I think, with that Pacers team. I think you could safely say that Aaron Gordon's floor is like 28 minutes, maybe even a little bit less, because like that Orlando team just does some crazy stuff. I mean, they did it to Oladipo when he was there.
Yeah, you're right.
So I mean, I guess it's just a safety in that. So that's kind of where I'm at with that.
No, I'm in on that synopsis. I think it's a good way of looking at things. And then hopefully, Gary Harris and Aaron Gordon are down there at 70, and you can pick them too, and then you could have a pretty monster team here. So yeah, we went LeBron 10th and Cousins 11, and we went with Cousins over Rudy Gobert because we can get someone who's almost as good as Rudy Gobert, someone like Drummond or Jordan later in the draft instead of wasting the 11th pick on Rudy Gobert and actually taking Cousins, who's still ranked really well in a punt free throw type of strategy. And so because we went LeBron and Cousins, we punted free throws and went Ricky Rubio, who isn't hurting us too much because of the scoring that LeBron and Cousins are going to do this year. He boosts our assists, and just having a LeBron there with 25, 8, and 8, that's already a monster team. But Rubio's steals help a lot. I went DeAndre Jordan for the blocks, and Tyler went Andre Drummond because he just thinks he's a kind of an all-around better player, a little bit better points, a little bit better steals. And then we went back-to-back picks, 50-51, and took one of our old favorites, Dennis Schroeder, for his scoring, for his assists, and his three-pointers that he's going to be hitting. And we went Victor Oladipo. And we also, talked about Ben Simmons as a possibility there if you didn't go Rubio. So in the third round, if you went like Bradley Beal, if he fell to you there, or Klay Thompson if he fell to you there, and because you wanted to get all the scoring and the threes, maybe you go Ben Simmons there with your 6th round pick. Yeah, I like the looks of this team.
And I guess that's the point in picking on that turn, especially in the 10-team league, is you're gonna walk away with some players I think you're pretty happy with. And even if you're playing in a draft where there's a lot of heady guys, right, and they're making good picks, I feel like in a 10-team league you always walk away with a lot of players you're feeling pretty good about. I mean, we talked about it right there in that 6th round, right? How many names did we list there of guys we felt pretty good about? Schroeder, Russell, Oladipo, Simmons. I mean, there's just a whole bunch of guys. So I think in a 10-team league, it's easy to like your team.
Oh yeah, definitely. And then things can get really interesting in the later rounds, down in the 70s and in the 90s, when you could find random people down there that might not have been picked, or you could take a flyer on someone like Willie Cauley-Stein or Steven Adams or Rondé Hollis Jefferson, and you could really make yourself an interesting team with this foundation that you build in the first 6 rounds. With LeBron James. So LeBron James still a very good fancy pick if you don't make that top 8.
Yeah, no, and one of the guys, you definitely got a target with Cousins and Wall and Chris Paul. And let me put it this way. I feel like in some years you're dreading having that last pick in a 12-team league because you're like, oh, God, this is just such a drop-off from the number 1 guys. Whereas this year, like, okay, I think there's kind of a first tier and a second tier. But, like, even at pick 12, it's like, I'm still going to get a Chris Paul or a John Wall or a DeMarcus Cousins or a LeBron James or a Kawhi Leonard. So, I mean, you just really feel good about it.
Yeah, it's usually kind of a death knell, but this year I really don't think it is. And that's why, you don't really start punting until your 3rd and 4th rounds. And, some of the other, I guess, builds we've been looking at the bottom of the draft, have been a DeMarcus Cousins, John Wall. That's always a good one because you could really punt your field goal and free throws at that point and have a great rebounder and a great assist guy. And then you could do a very similar draft that you did with LeBron and Cousins. You could go get DeAndre Jordan, or Andre Drummond, or you could combine.
Did you just make a combined player?
You could put them in a lab, combine their DNA, and draft Andre Jordan with your third round pick. I think he's going to be an excellent rebounder. That guy.
I just want to know if he's 14 foot tall.
Yes, he's not a combination of them. He is just it's just DeAndre on Drummond's shoulders in a trench coat, an extra large basketball jersey.
That would be the greatest thing I've ever seen.
I'd watch that game. That'd be great. Another one, combination, since we're talking about the end of the draft, Jokic and Chris Paul. So they have great percentages. They don't really turn the ball over like some of these other players do. And the assists that you get from Jokic complement Chris Paul so well that you're going to be killing people in assists, and you're still going to get those double-digit rebounds from Jokic. That's also a pretty good build.
Yeah, and there's another kind of really interesting one I think you could look at with either those two, or maybe you even throw in a Draymond Green there in a deeper kind of league, and you pump points. Punting points, I always find, is a strategy no one wants to do because the points number is the biggest one. But I think you can get yourself a nice little competitive advantage if you decide to pump points and focus on everything else. And Jokic and Chris Paul are like the perfect two guys to do it with because they both shoot great percentages. So you can just load up everything else and just forget about points and be really, really solid there.
Yeah, often people are punting field goals and then like another stat. Maybe it's assists, maybe it's steals. But punting points is kind of a zig when everybody else zags kind of strategy. And if you can get Drummond or later in the draft, I don't think you're going to get him at 30, but you could reach down for him with your next pick. So let's say you get the 10th pick in a 12-team league or even a 14-team league. All right, well, you take Jokic or Chris Paul, and then you turn around and end up picking DeAndre, and you're going to have monster steals and monster blocks from DeAndre, and he's going to complement you pretty well as really as good as anyone else can do. Another couple strategies people like to do is like Chris Paul and John Wall, just like beef up your point guards to the highest extent. Or the reverse, which would be, I guess, Cousins and Jokic.
Not one of my favorite strategies in the sense that I feel like it always forces you to reach for some players that you don't necessarily want to reach for. I always feel like when you draft two very, very similar players that like right back to back, it puts you in a position where you feel like, oh man, I need rebounds. Oh, then maybe I reach for rebounds in the next round and I reach for 2 rebound guys. And then it's like, oh, well, what do I need now? Oh, I need more steals now. Then I'm reaching for steals guys I don't really want. And it's like, it just puts you in a position where it's like you're always chasing something. And I don't like that feeling. I like to kind of have my balance, can still adapt, right? We talked about this from the draft we did the other night, right? That we sometimes adapt our strategy as it goes on because just players are available that we like a lot better than some of the other players. And I feel like if you draft two similar guys, it's really hard to keep adapting your strategy because you're kind of locked into needing this. I need it now.
Yeah. If you go guard and, there's a really good guard on the board who fell, you really don't need him, but you're going to say no? I mean, you kind of have to if you really desperately need a center and you don't think you're going to get a center with your next pick. I like that view that it does kind of handcuff you, and I would kind of agree with you there. It does set you up really nice if you can pull it off, right? But it does handcuff you to force to reach down, and that's basically why we haven't really brought it up very much.
It's not to say that you can't do it and that doesn't work, right? Any strategy works if you get somewhat lucky or you just really know what you're doing, right? If you pick Gary Harris, if Gary Harris lasts to pick 90 and you get him there, Yeah, okay. Well, then you could probably pick anybody in the first 2 rounds, and you've got a four round value on Gary Harris, and you got a 4 round value on Dennis Schroeder because he fell to 65. Well, then yeah, you're probably going to win the league regardless of who you picked at the beginning. But
Yeah, I always say this: you can lose your league in the first round, but you can never win the league with your first pick. And I think that always applies. No matter who you pick in the first round, it's going to be good. But where you win your league is in those mid to late rounds, getting deals on someone like Gary Harris or Nico Mirotic, who suddenly becomes a top 40 player because he's leading the Bulls to the playoffs in the 8th seed. Tyler,
man, give me some of those drugs.
Yeah, Nico Mirotic and Justin Holiday, possible leading scorer of the Chicago Bulls.
No way, Jerian Grant.
Oh, Jerian Grant is going to start, so we will see about that. So I think that is it for our Who Do You Draft? We are officially done with Who Do You Draft, and we're going to start looking at the preseason and kind of reevaluating what we've learned between our team previews, which we've done a team preview for all 30 teams, and kind of look at what we talked about in the previews and say, all right, what has changed? How has my mind changed by what I've seen in the preseason? Maybe some teams, nothing's happened. Some teams, you might say, oh, Lonzo Ball, he's going to be like the third best player in the league. I don't think you're right about that, but and I don't know anybody who would say that. But
I've got some real good Los Angeles Lakers hot takes on that. So if you are a Lakers fan, if you are a basketball fan, if you're a fantasy fan, you might want to tune in just for the Lakers hot takes alone. I got some hot takes on some other teams, but the Lakers are probably maybe my hottest take.
Well, that's a great plug. That is a great way to market for everyone to listen to the preseason podcast that we will be doing very soon. I assume a lot of you have drafts. We hope that the Who Do You Draft segments that we've been doing help you with your upcoming draft leading in to this weekend and into the NBA season, which is just right around the corner. Very exciting. And if you like what you're hearing on this podcast, do us a favor, leave us a rating and review. It is the number one thing you can do to help continue this podcast, providing you the information you need. It helps us the most. Tell a friend, tell your league, post it on the internet. I like Tyler's idea the other day of stealing your parents' phone and downloading and subscribing and leaving a rating and review on their phone, even though they have no idea what podcasts are. Any other good ideas, Tyler, for promoting the podcast?
You could get a girlfriend, take her phone.
Whoa, that's a steep ask, I think, first off.
Now, okay, here's what you do. Then you get her to get all their friends around, okay? You take all their phones. That's like, that could be like 20 people right there.
This sounds like a criminal activity. It sounds like you're stealing people's phones, Tyler.
Now you just say, hey, can I look at your phone a second? I've been thinking about getting one of those. Subscribe, rate, review. Okay, here. I don't like it. It's not for me.
Your phone sucks. Your phone sucks later, chicks. That's always a good move.
That's my strategy. I'm not sure how it's going to work.
If you end up employing this strategy, please tweet at us and tell us how it goes. I'm very interested in this story. You can tweet at Tyler at Watsy4444, and you can tweet at me, Mike Catron, at Watch the Boxes. Feel free to send us any league questions or hilarious stories about how you forced someone into subscribing to this podcast. We will read them on the air. I think that's a great promotion. So anything else, Tyler? Anything you want to plug?
No, that's it, man. I don't got anything.
All right, cool. That's it for tonight. Thanks for joining us, everybody, and we'll see you next time. Cool.
You threw me off. I was trying to type in my basketball references. I was trying to reference my basketballs, and I thought you were
basketball referencing in the middle of the outro.
Because I'm trying to find the first team that we're gonna do, and I'm trying to find the roster so I don't miss anybody here. But I can't think that fast.
Yeah, I do not know how this is gonna go. I mean, do you want to go? Yeah, we might as well go team by team and just go. What has changed? And maybe the answer is really nothing overall. Because I think we could focus on Standard League, similar to what we did in the previews. Has anything changed in Standard League, Deep League?
Holy smokes. God, I'm looking at the Hawks. I don't know if there's anything. I don't know if there's anything that changed.
I'm with you on this.
I feel like there's some teams that there's a lot, and some teams like the Hawks where it's just gonna be like,
meh.
I can safely say I haven't watched too much Hawks.
I haven't watched any Hawks. I don't care. They're fucking terrible.
What's going on, Hawkies?
The Hawks or Memphis. Oof.
You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna take this a different way.
What does that mean?
I'm gonna put this on NBA.com stats and look at the teams on that.
Whoa.
See who's dominating the preseason. See who might surprise me.
All right, I'm gonna go piss. I'll be right back.
All right. Oh, cool. No players. No one advanced filters that poop. That is bullshit. General. God, on this side. All teams. Works. Got it.
All right. Still there? Hello? Hello? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hello?
Who's this? New phone. Who this?
Steve.
I started doing that to people just randomly, like they'll call out, and I'll just be like, "Oh, new phone, who dis?" And I'll try to like change my voice, and sometimes I'll do some crazy Irish or something, and then sometimes people hang up.
They're like, oh God, what have I done?
It is the best. It is the best. You should try it. I recommend.
I like that.
Oh man. So Dwayne Dedman shooting threes. We could talk about that.
Yeah, we might as well.
Oh man. Pigeons and crows.
I think that's a really good time to mention, you know. Oh,
you are
Dwayne Dedman shooting threes. Oh, really?
Yes, sir. You sound like my ass.
Is that better?
Oh, look at that. That sounds like crystal clear. Oh, Anthony Bennett got waived again. Like, that's a fucking surprise.
Well, now my speakers are all fucked up.
Now your face is all fucked up.
What the fuck? Hello?
Hello?
I can hear you. For some reason, you're coming through my fucking...
I'm coming through your fucking. I don't want to do that.
Fucking headphones.
I don't want to come through your fucking. Please do not let me do that.
Maybe these headphones are fucking shot.
I hate Dwayne Dedman because he can't spell his fucking name. Dwayne.
We got a lot of fucking things on here.
Oh, we could also say Standard League Flyer, Torian Prince, or Dwayne Dedman. Because apparently they both have no ADP. Well, 145 and 178. So, I mean, they're basically like the last round pick. Someone's picking Channing Frye, pick 152 on Yahoo. Oh, God, Yahoo, what are you doing?
God damn it. Well, no, it's not going to work. I can't have you coming out of the speakers.
What? What happened? Your headphones like broke? You got to do the Chicago Bulls deep dive, whatever this thing is.
No, there it goes. It works finally. I already did. We already did.
Oh. So wait, is he doing that like whole podcast thing, or did he bin that?
I don't know. I thought that shit wasn't going on anymore. There's too many podcasts. We don't need a. If we're gonna do individual team podcasts, which actually I'm like considering getting out of that. I don't want to talk about the Bulls every week.
I feel like to do one, you have to do it like every day. Like if you're gonna do a Bulls thing, you gotta beat Bulls and all the Bulls in time.
Yeah, and here's the difference, right? The guys who do the Bulls podcast that I listen to, which is probably like 3 podcasts that I listen to about the Bulls. 2 of them I listen to I listen to Locked On all the time, and then I listen to the Athletic Chicago, which is really good actually. They're great. The Athletic's great, and I listen to them, and they all have press access. Like they're all legit fucking reporters with a beat and with access to the players and to the coaches and shit. It's like, what the fuck am I gonna talk about? Just what I saw on TV? Like,
well, yeah, and then it's just like that's like kind of what I do. Like when I write, a lot of times it's like I'm just like reporting something someone else reported. Like I always feel like kind of fucking skeevy about it. You know what I mean? Like I'm not fucking providing anything other than my opinion on that situation that someone else fucking reported.
Yeah, like, it's like if you got a good take on it, right? Then that's the value you're bringing.
Right, but like I'm not separating myself. I'm not bringing anything to the podcast if I don't really have anything new to say, right? I'm just repeating what someone else said and then maybe spinning it in my direction. Like But I didn't hear it, so like, wouldn't his spin be better than mine most of the time because he has the context clues of actually talking to someone? And
yeah, like the only thing I can see like value would be like if you're just this like insane NBA stats nerd person who can like take what they're seeing, break it down statistically, and start talking about the teams like that, and or like breaking play-by-plays down, you know. And you're not going to do a play-by-play on a podcast.
Yeah, no, like the like people are always like fucking about the Kings. They always want people like us to like live tweet the games for that site I work for, and I'm always just like, why, dude? You're watching it. Like, what the fuck are you gonna read my tweets about it for? Like, fucking dude dunked it. Sweet.
Sick 3, bro.
Sick ass dunk, man.
I don't know. I do hit NBA Twitter during Bulls games to complain about shit.
Yeah, but like complain. Okay, I get that. But like people are like, oh, live tweet it. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I'm not there, man. I can't like take a video of it and send you the cool dunk that just happened or anything.
Also, like, if I'm there, I'm not fucking on my phone tweeting. Like, fuck you. I'm at.
Yeah, I'm
I spent money to go to the NBA
game. That's what I mean. Like, I want to enjoy the game, not enjoy tweeting you dumb shits.
Yeah, I won't be able to watch the fucking game.
Speaking of that, I got like 20 Twitter messages today, and I did not fucking respond to any of them. I was just like,
Tyler, come on. You got to get on that.
Dude, well, it's all the same like 5 guys who keep sending me this shit. And they're just like annoying at this point because it's like, I like this one dude, he'll like list players like, okay, 7th round, these guys are going to be available. Which one should I take? Like, well, give me the order. I'll give it to him. And then he'll be like, well, what about this? What about this? It's like, ask and answer, dude. You asked me what I thought. I answered you. Like, I don't know what you want me to tell you. Like, yes, I thought about this a lot more than you have. Like, you don't need to tell me that shit.
Yeah. Like, why are they asking you if they're like, hey, what do you think? It's like, this is what I think. And they're like, well, I don't know.
That's what I mean. Like want to argue with me. Like, well, I think he's going to hit 2 threes a game. And it's like, yeah, so do I. Like, what are you trying to tell me? Like, are you sure you want to rank this guy last? It's like, yes, I'm positive. And then like, I'll give a reason. And then they'll be like, well, why did you rank this guy over this guy? And I'm like, I'm not fucking giving you a goddamn paragraph on every one of these players. Like, that's it, man. That's my ranking. Like, fucking take it or leave that shit.
Yeah, like
either follow it or don't. I don't fucking care.
It's yeah, I think I put something out there like, oh, who do you like in the second round? I know this guy, and someone was just like, oh, what? No way! And I'm like, that's not an argument. You're just saying no. Like what the fuck's wrong with you? And or one of the posts I put on Reddit was like, it's the thing I keep saying, don't punt before the draft. And some guy's like, why would you not punt based on your first round pick? And I'm like, I literally wrote 4 paragraphs why I wouldn't punt based on my first round pick. Dude, because how good the second round is. Like, I literally wrote that. That's literally the point of the goddamn post. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Well, other than the one we just talked about with LeBron, like, there's no fucking need to punt based on your first round pick. Ooh, I picked fucking James Harden. He's fucking amazing at everything. What the fuck do I need to punt? He's even fucking good at blocks for a guard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he is literally for a guard, like, fucking good at everything. So why do I need to punt anything? Maybe turnovers, because he's going to get a shat ton. It's like, I think those guys are just so stupid. Like, it's like they want to argue with you, but they can't think of anything fucking smart to say because they haven't thought about this shit. So they just go off. Well, fucking, you're an idiot. I'm like, okay, well, I'm fucking stupid then. Sorry. Sorry. But you're fucking stupider because you asked me for my opinion and you think I'm fucking stupid. So yeah, I think I still won that.
Talking to me, yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't like I hit you up for advice and then you're like, oh, I'm fucking stupid. Like, okay, that would be different. So some of them I want to just be like, yeah, go ask Josh Lloyd.
Yeah, go bother him.
Tweet Josh Lloyd and
I can't imagine if, like, think about, like, we have like a don't know, a couple hundred listens episode. I can't imagine what his Twitter is like.
Oh, dude, he probably gets like
Really
his messages is probably like mine's like 20. His is probably like a fucking 100.
It's probably more than that. Like, that's got to be terrible, especially this time of year.
Oh yeah.
I bet she just ignores most of them.
Dude, at some point you got to. The one I think would be crazy would be that ESPN fucker, that Matthew Berry dude. Like, because you know how crazy those stupid fantasy football people are.
He probably turns that off.
He probably gets like 1 billion messages though. Just like
he probably turns all his alerts off. Like, he probably has none of his alerts on.
He can't, dude. He probably gets one like every 3 seconds. Just, who would you start? This tart or this tart? This
Thanks
tart.
for fucking telling me to start Cooks, bro. He got injured in the middle of the game, idiot.
He got injured on the first play. Like, you knew that was gonna fucking happen.
Fucking idiot, you fucking moron, you piece of shit. You should be fired.
Dude, my favorite is when they tweet the fucking players. Can't believe you fucking got hurt.
Can't believe you fucked up.
And I'm just like, you can't fucking yell at a guy for getting hurt, dude. No one wanted to fucking get hurt.
Fucking athlete.
No one wanted to fucking die out there.
And that's why I can't stand people who hate Rose and or don't in Chicago. I hate those people. It's like, he got hurt. What the fuck? What else do you fucking want him to do? He got hurt, tried to come back, got hurt again, tried to come back again, got hurt again. Like, it's not his fault. He tried to come. He could have just been like, I retire. He didn't. He didn't do that. And then we traded him.
I always feel like he gets a bad rap. I think part of it too, though, is that he's like a little bit retarded.
I mean, he said a lot of dumb shit, and his brother, who runs his, kind of manages him, is a fucking moron. And he really needed to be ran by some professionals or something like that. But he is a fucking idiot, but a great basketball player.
Yeah.
I hope he has a great year. I really do.
I think he'll be fine.
All right, let's get to this. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Watching the Boxes Fantasy Basketball Podcast. I am your host, Mike Catron, and joining me, as always, is Tyler Watts. What's up, Tyler?
Oh, Mike, we are dangerously close to basketball actually counting. How do you feel about that?
I feel happier than I've ever felt in my entire life.
Wow, that might be a problem, Mike. I mean, you might have to get that checked out.
I'm depressed. Other than the week before the NBA starts, that's the only time I'm happy. And then I watch the Bulls play, and then I immediately get depressed for the next 51 weeks.
And then you're just watching the boxes? That's it?
I'm just watching the boxes. I'm not watching any NBA at all. I'm just watching the boxes.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Now, this is the best time of year. Everybody's team who isn't the Warriors has no chance of winning, but they think that they might be better than they hoped. And everybody's fantasy team, you're either drafted, about to draft, which is probably the best part of the entire season, especially if you get together, and do a live draft with some of your friends. And then the season starts, and it's anybody's game in fantasy basketball right now, and it's the best time of the year.
Well, I'm gonna have to agree with that.
Yeah, I'm excited. How many drafts do you have coming up this weekend?
Mike, I told you, man, you can't ask a degenerate like me these kind of questions.
Well, you gotta admit, I don't have too many. I've weaned myself off the aggressive amount of drafts that I used to do.
Here's how crazy it might get for me. Just to throw another one in there, I might join one of those like crazy ESPN ones you can join like in like 2 minutes and just play it out for the whole season.
Oh my gosh, I've stopped doing those. That's where I draw the line now.
That's my degenerateness getting in there just to get another one.
If I don't know somebody in the league or can tweet at somebody in the league, I'm just not that interested in the league.
I'm not that interested in the league either for the most part. Just I don't know, something about those kind of leagues. It entices me in.
it's good experience. It is good experience. What do you think about the NBA coming out with an official points league for fantasy basketball?
Wow. What did you think about that official point scoring? Because I think it was missing some juiciness. It was just like not.
It was pretty basic.
Yeah, and then I was tweeting with somebody. Someone was asking me the other day about what point scoring they should do, and to me, I think they could have made it easier by just saying like, this is worth 1, this is worth 2, and that's it. Whereas like, I just wasn't a big fan of what they went with.
Yeah, they did 6 categories, which is pretty. I mean, that's aggressively basic. A point's a point. A rebound is 1.2 points. An assist is worth 1.5, and you'll get 3 points for every steal and block, and you're docked a point for every turnover.
Yeah, see, I would have went with a point, a rebound, and assist are all worth a point. And then a steal and a block is worth 2 points, and then a turnover is worth -1 point. I feel like the only reason I like that scoring system is I can add that crap up really quick. And I feel like that makes it super easy to do. Whereas like a lot of people can't add decimals, not to disparage anybody. If you can't add decimals, that's fine.
There's some math magicians out there who can do the decimals in their head.
But you know what I mean? Like that's just super simple, right? So if we're trying to attract someone who's not super into basketball or not super into fantasy, I feel like if you just make everything like a whole even number, you can kind of just boom, do it real quick. Like, okay, LeBron's got 10 points, he's got 5 rebounds and 5 assists, so there's 10 more, so he's got 20, and he's got a steal and a block. Those are worth 2, so he's got 24.
Yeah.
And he had 5 turnovers, so I take 5 off, 19. Done.
I'm kind of with you on this. I like point leagues that take into account field goals made, field goals attempted, and try to bring percentages into the try to not too many points leagues do that well, but I think if you're going to do a points league, your percentages should matter as well to try to make it a little bit closer to a 9 category league, because I see what the NBA is trying to do here. They see how popular fantasy football is. They want to make fantasy basketball more popular, and I'm all for it. We have a fantasy basketball podcast. The more people, the merrier, right? But I'm not going to really be catering to this league. I don't know. I would be interested in playing one just to see what happens, right? But I don't know if I'm going to want to play in one, considering how basic the scoring is.
I'm going to talk to somebody who plays in a similar kind of league, except for they count just the makes. So it's not percentages. They just count makes. And really what it does is it gets stat stuffers. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter how efficient you are, right? If LeBron shoots it 40 times to get 35 points, it's just as good as if he shot it 15 times to get it 35 points.
Yeah, like players like Otto Porter would just fall off the map.
But yeah, so there's no efficiency to it. So it's just a different way to play. I don't know that it's wrong. I don't know that it's bad. I don't know that it's good. It's just different.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it is wrong way to play. It's just I was surprised that the NBA went that way, but from what I've heard is that it is very similar to the way people play daily fantasy basketball. The point system is pretty similar, so maybe they're just trying to weed off of the people who play daily fantasy to play year long, and hopefully get more of an audience there. But ideally, I kind of hope this interest in fantasy basketball leads to people going, well, what are these category leagues? Why is that a thing? And then when they start searching for people who have been playing fantasy basketball for an incredibly long amount of time, like apparently I have, they say, oh well, maybe I'll try one of those to see if it's better, and they'll find out that it is a better. I think it's a better way of playing. I guess to each their own, right? But it's a better way of playing.
Yeah, no doubt.
So yeah, I actually think our old friend Mark Roberts is doing an expert points league with the official NBA points. So we'll have to get Mark on here to talk about that points league, because I'm just not going to be able to speak to that, because I just don't think I'm going to play in one. I got a lot of drafts this weekend. I don't want to put another draft in the mix.
Yeah, no, I might. If you got a good league, you can find me. I still might join it. I'm in crazy degenerate mode now. I feel like I've done all this work. I might as well put it to use in the last few days we have here before the season gets rolling. So I am just playing leagues like a fiend.
Yeah, I guess if you want to start a points league based on the NBA official points and want to invite Tyler or I, feel free to tweet at us. You can find Tyler on Twitter at Watsy4444, and you can find me at Watch the Boxes. So if you really need someone to fill in, and we're going to take it seriously, feel free to tweet at us. I'll join one if I have to. But not unless I get invited. I'm not going to go seeking out these points leagues.
I feel you.
So the preseason is pretty much close to being over. We've seen every team play at least a couple games at this point, and preseason is a really weird animal to figure out. You don't really know what's real and what's not in preseason. You can kind of gain some insight on certain things for certain types of players. But, if you see someone out there like Paul Millsap struggling, which I don't think he has, but you see Paul Millsap struggling, I'm not worried about it, right? I look at preseason more to see what the rotations are going to be like and to see if kind of fringe players are better than expected, or even players who might be breakout candidates, just to see how they're playing. And so we've been watching the preseason. You've been watching a lot of preseason games, right, Tyler?
Oh, yeah, and you see some guys who are more liberal with their shots, too. I think that I don't have a perfect example off the top of my head, but like a center, a lot of times maybe he'll shoot a couple threes in the preseason, right, because he's wide open. But then when the regular season comes, he passes up that shot for a pass because he knows it's not a really efficient shot for him, and the goal is to win games for these teams. So they don't want to hurt their teammates by taking a shot they can hit 25% of the time when they can get a guy who can hit the shot 45% of the time.
Yeah, this is where teams do experiment and players individually experiment with playing around with a different type of shot or playing in a different position. And that used to be the thing. Oh, look at this center. He's going to start shooting threes. Well, over the last season, centers did start shooting threes. And it was pretty remarkable to see someone like Brook Lopez, who really only shot like a handful of threes his entire career, basically almost dropped 2 3-pointers a game. So what we're going to do here is kind of base what we've seen in the preseason and see if we've changed any of our views, anything we brought up in our team previews. So we did all 30 teams, which was a kind of an endeavor. We were kind of previewed them for the upcoming season based on what we knew at the time. And this was over the summer. This was before preseason started. And there's a lot of good content in there. So I suggest, going back, listening to those, especially if there's a certain couple teams you are more interested in than another one. But our views have definitely changed for some of these teams. Some of them, are still up in the air, and some of them we probably haven't changed one bit. I assume Golden State Warriors are still the Golden State Warriors. But we're going to go through all 30 teams kind of in a rapid-fire question because we don't want this to be a 5-hour podcast, which it easily could end up sinking into. And just see, I guess, what has changed between my thoughts and Tyler's thoughts on each one of these teams. Are you ready, Tyler? Are you ready for this?
Let's not waste the minutes. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's get right after it. Let's start alphabetically with the Atlanta Hawks. The Atlanta Hawks basically have a very similar rotation that I thought they were going to have. Dennis Schroeder is going to lead that team in usage. We're both on him. We almost drafted him in every one of our Who Do I drafts, which we did a kind of a mock draft for the first 6 rounds for all the top 8 players. If you've got a draft coming up this weekend, I suggest going and listening to those if there's a certain player you actually are kind of interested in. But for the Atlanta, is there anyone else in the Atlanta Hawks that were interesting? Bazemore hasn't impressed me. Taurean Prince is playing a lot of minutes. Is there anyone moving up or down in standard leagues for you with Atlanta?
I got a thing I'll say, and then a question I want to ask you. Bazemore, I think he is what he is. I think he's probably gonna finish the year right around that 100 overall mark, somewhere between 90 and 110. And I don't know that I super want that in a standard league, right? but in a deeper league, that's fine. I mean, I think he is what he is. The question for me is, last pick in the standard league, do you want Torian Prince or do you want Dwayne Dedman?
Ooh. I think I'm going to lean Torian Prince here. I think he's just more of a 9-cat type of player, and you know that I play in mostly roto leagues. And I just think Prince is just a little bit more available on this team. He's going to play more minutes. I don't think he's going anywhere. He's going to play 30-some minutes. He doesn't have anyone try and divide for his minutes on this team.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, they could always go small and not play Dedman, or they could put someone like John Collins or Mike Muscala out there at center, whereas on the wings, I mean, they really only have – I mean, they could play Delaney and Schroeder together, I guess, in a two-guard lineup, but they only really got Bellinelli, Prince, Luke Babbitt, Kent Bazemore. I mean, the options aren't sounding great. DeAndre Bembry, so I feel a little bit better about Prince too.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think he's going to be a standard league relevant player. Anyone else on this team, maybe in a deeper league? I know you've liked John Collins since the beginning. Is Mike Muscala, who can do some interesting things fantasy wise? Is he interesting you at all? Maybe in a deeper league?
Yeah, I mean, I feel all right taking about a flyer on any of those guys. You got to hope that they get the minutes, right? So I kind of want it to be one of my last picks and even in a deeper league, right? Because there's a lot of bodies there, but I think Muscala could be real interesting if someone like Dwayne Dedman gets hurt and Muscala's getting 30 minutes a night. It could be pretty interesting for fantasy. So I'm not super big on any of them really, but I don't have a problem with taking a flyer on them.
Yeah, I can't say that I'm excited about too many people on this team, but there's a lot of minutes to go around, and if you're in a bigger league, Bazemore is going to be a good pickup, and Dedman as well. I see Dedman is shooting threes. We kind of mentioned that earlier. Just here's Dedman shooting threes. Everybody's going to get excited about that, and my guess is he's one of those players who Tyler mentioned who will suddenly stop shooting threes once the season starts.
Yeah, no, 16%, not looking pretty.
No, not at all. Let's move on to Boston. Boston is very similar to, I think, what we expected from them. They've been playing around with a lot of different rotations in the preseason, and that's hard to, I guess, take any value out of what you see in their box scores for the preseason, because they're really not playing their starters in multiple games in a row. They're messing around with Jaylen Brown and Tatum there. And they got Aaron Baines playing some decent minutes. Is there anyone who stood out in Boston for you?
And I think Morris is going to play that big role of kind of like 30 minutes a game, pretty close. And he's been dealing with his legal issue and then kind of getting back in shape. So that's really throwing the rotation off a little bit too. I don't think it really matters who they start between Jaylen Brown and Marcus Smart. I think they're both going to get somewhere between 28 and 30 minutes a game. So, I mean, in the right size league, they're both pretty valuable. I like Marcus Smart a little bit better. I think I like him probably in that 90 range. If I'm going to pick him, he's going to be really good at steals. You know what he is, right? He's got some warts, but I like him. Jaylen Brown, I'm really not sure what he is, but I wouldn't hate taking a flyer on him in the end of a standard league even. I mean, if he's going to get 30 minutes a night, he could be valuable.
Yeah, it does look like they like what they're seeing out of Jaylen Brown. I think once the real season comes around, you're going to see a little bit more Marcus Smart and a little less Jaylen Brown, because Marcus Smart has been there. He's played against these NBA top-level talents. But Jaylen Brown could surprise. Jason Tatum's been getting some pretty good minutes in the rotation as well. I think if you're in a bigger league, he's definitely worth a pickup there. I know there's all these other Ojale and Theus and all these other guys, Aaron Baines down in the drudges of this team, and people get excited about those types of players when they have one good game in the preseason. Are you excited about any of them?
The only guy that I'm super excited about, I mean, obviously maybe you take a flyer on Jason Tatum if you're in a deep league. I'm kind of interested in Baines as a streamer type. I think he's like kind of the only true center they got. And so there might be nights where like, they're playing the Jazz and Rudy Gobert's in town. I could see Baines getting some like 25, 28, 30 minutes a night and getting you some big rebounds and shooting good percentages. That's one nice thing about Baines is he always shoots good from the free throw line. So he could be kind of a waiver wire guy where if you're seeing a matchup where the other team's going to play big, he may not be the worst pickup.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's a pretty good observation that, against bigger teams, Al Horford has not fared terribly well with teams that can out-rebound someone like Al Horford, and Aaron Baines is going to be a crutch that the Boston Celtics rely on, and he would be a good streamer. I will say that I was moving Kyrie up my rankings, but after seeing him play in the preseason, I'm very happy that I did. Like in some of the drafts where it was before the preseason started, I'm glad I took Kyrie. I think Kyrie's going to be a great fit on this team, and I'm excited to see him play.
Yeah, he's going to ball out, which is always fun to watch because he's a really, really good player.
Oh, for sure. Let's go on to the Brooklyn Nets, who are going to be a very, very bad team. There's just nothing to like about this team from a basketball perspective, in my opinion. Their bench is just nothing down there that.
Come on, you're not loving Akil Mitchell?
No, I'm actually Spencer Dinwiddie is probably one of my favorite players on their bench, simply because he would be the best player on the Chicago Bulls.
Now, come on.
You heard me.
No way. Mirotic would run a lap around Spencer Dinwiddie. I'm sorry.
I love Mirotic. You're right. You're right. How dare
I
I be?
So would Robin Lopez.
Robin Lopez is good. You've been hating on Robin Lopez lately, but we'll get to the Bulls in a second. Brooklyn has played with DeMar Carroll in the starting lineup. Mozgov starting at center, who is really just unplayable at an NBA pace. Jeremy Lin and D'Angelo Russell are not going to play any defense, and I think that's going to. I don't think they care that they're not going to be playing any defense. Is there anyone at standard league value here that your opinion has changed about?
Changed about? No. Deeper league guy, I'm kind of interested in if I need some points and some threes would be Allen Crabbe.
Yeah, I think he's going to play a little bit more minutes. I've seen them kind of have him in a couple of these games where he's looked pretty good, and they're playing a little run and gun type of offense, and I like the pace that they're playing. I think that's going to be really good for the stats on this team. Mm-hmm. And that's why, D'Angelo Russell and Jeremy Lin have both kind of, wherever I had them, I kind of moved them up maybe a handful of spots, simply because I think their pace is going to help their stats coming into the standard league.
Here's a question I'll ask you. Where are you starting to look for Jeremy Lin? He's obviously got a right around 90 as his ADP. I mean, obviously it depends on team build and all that, but just say you need a point guard. What spot are you starting to look for Jeremy Lin at?
If I could use a point guard, I'd be happy to take him in the 8th round.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I'm at. I think he's just a little undervalued, and I think even if you pick him a round or two before where he's going, I still think there's some value there. I think he could push. I won't say he's going to be top 50, but I think he could push darn close to that.
Yeah, I think given the fact that this team really doesn't have anyone to rely on at point, he's guaranteed starter. He's going to play a lot of minutes. You do worry a little bit about his health from last year, but I think that's all kind of passed. And Jeremy Lin, one of the best, voting for best hair in the league, and he's kind of sneaky when it comes to fantasy. Suddenly he'll put up really good steals, really good assists on any given night. And I would take him late in the 7th round too if I really needed a guard. Why not?
Yeah, I'm with you there.
Any deep guys other than Crabbe here?
No, this whole center thing's kind of got me off them just because, I mean, Mozgov's Mozgov. Jared Allen just doesn't look super ready, and they added Tyler Zeller, which anytime you add someone that late, that's probably a big no sign for the rookie guy, right? Like, okay, we don't really think you're ready. We need another body here who can play minutes. So I definitely wouldn't be after Jared Allen.
No. He's not a John Collins situation like it in Atlanta. And the fact that they're going with Mozgov is a really bad sign. I think an incredibly bad sign. So let's move on to one of the greatest teams in the history of the NBA, the Chicago Bulls. They are certainly a dumpster fire to behold this year.
You missed the team, Chief.
Oh, who did I forget?
Charlotte.
Well, you know what? I didn't forget Charlotte because no one cares about that city or that team. So we will do them next. We're going to focus on one of the greatest teams of all time, the Chicago Bulls. Charlotte, you can freaking wait. Shots fired. But no, thank you for reminding me. Bulls, I think, have settled on a rotation. Jerry Grant is going to start, and I think Jerry Grant was going to start even before Chris Dunn went out with a dislocated finger, which didn't look very pretty. I think he's going to be out for about 3 or 4 weeks, actually, which is not a great sign for the point guard of the future, Chris Dunn. Jerry Grant is going to get you very good statistics, I think, for a point guard, someone I think you can take very late in your draft or with one of your last picks, like Tyler did in our listener league.
I think he's just really no one's radar right now. No one wants a Bull. Mirotic is kind of the same way in a lot of drafts I see. He just keeps falling and falling and falling, and no one wants a Bull. So, I mean, if I can get Jerry Grant with my last pick, I'm pretty happy with that. I'll take any starting point guard with my last pick. And here's the great thing. If you're playing in a 10 or 12 team league and you pick Jerry Grant with your last pick and he stinks that first week, I just let him go and I pick up somebody else because someone's going to be on the waiver wire. All right.
Just move on.
So, I mean, and if he's great, you got yourself a nice value pick right there. So just play it by ear. I mean, I don't know what he's going to do, right? We've seen Jerry Grant play in the NBA. He's not been super good, but someone's got to get assists. Someone's got to carry the ball on this team. Someone's got to make some plays. I mean, it's not like they're going to score 50 points a game, right? They're going to be somewhere 80, 90, 100 points a game. So someone's got to do it. Someone's got to put the points and someone's got to get the assist. Someone's got to get the rebound. Someone's got to get everything.
I will tell you this. They are going to give up a ton of points this year. They play at a much higher pace this year. They are doing nothing but shooting threes during these games. And that's kind of a complete difference than the hoy ball of last year, I guess.
And I'll say this real quick. Even up to the minute, Jerry Grant doesn't have an ADP on Yahoo or ESPN.
That's crazy. He's going to start. He's the starting point guard here. I know a lot of people think Valentine's going to get minutes, but Valentine has looked very lost on this team, and I don't really trust him. And Hoiberg's going to mess around with this rotation all season long. It's going to be very, very annoying for fantasy owners. So I do get, if you're in a regular standard league, 10-team league, not wanting to mess with anybody other than Nico or maybe Robin Lopez if you needed a big. But, I would say Jerry Grant has to be owned. Justin Holiday is going to take a lot of shots, and I think Justin Holiday could be a pretty decent guy. I think he's going to get around over 30 minutes a game. So take a look at him if you're in a bigger league. And Valentine, they're gonna run him out there too, sadly. And occasionally he is good for a very nice stat line, but against NBA talent, I think he is going to struggle greatly.
He may be quickly trending on the Mario Hezonja line.
Oof, that's a bad line to be on. Let's move on to before I get too depressed to a city that people aren't fans of, the Charlotte Hornets. Another team where not a whole lot here that I've seen in the preseason.
That, come on. They had one of the biggest preseason storylines. Nick Batum out.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, other than there's nothing I've seen here that makes me interested in changing any of my rankings on this team. With Nick Batum out, though, that does open up a spot for Jeremy Lamb.
Or is it Malik Monk? Malik Monk looking good this preseason. 16 points a game in his 4 games. Shooting the ball not very well.
Shooting the ball a lot.
Yeah, and I keep hearing people say, "Oh, I'm going to take a flyer on Jeremy Lamb," and I don't mind that. Jeremy Lamb really hasn't done anything super to impress me so far in his career. We talk about this a lot. Like, if I'm going to take an upside shot on a guy, I want someone who's shown me some flashes. I really haven't seen that much from Jeremy Lamb myself. There's always someone in that last round I find myself picking over Jeremy Lamb, whether it's Jerry and Grant, whether it's some of the other guys we're going to talk about. So, yeah, okay, I'm fine with you taking Jeremy Lamb, but he's probably not my favorite late round flyer.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think if you're in a 12-team league, maybe you take him with the last pick, but I think he's just a waiver wire streamer type of guy. I think he will have some very good games and probably some pretty bad games too. But Batum is probably going to be out till mid-December. And if you're in a league with an IR, I think it's a pretty easy pick. But are you dropping him in your rankings simply because he's going to be out for about 20 some games?
Oh yeah, definitely. If it's a head-to-head league with no IR, I'm really hesitant to take him just because I feel like that's a lot of games you miss, especially in a shallow league where there's always kind of guys available on the waiver wire I can churn and burn through. If I've got IR spots, I still probably don't want him to like pick 100. I just feel like, I mean, it's 20 games, but he's not having surgery. They say it's going to heal up. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it's a setback, right? I might almost feel better if he had the surgery and like he healed up and it was over with. I'm a little bit worried maybe he re-injures it or whatever. So I think at 100, if you pick him after pick 100, they're all just flyers anyways. You stash him on your IR, bring him back. Feel all right about it. Yeah. And even if say your first round pick gets hurt and you only have one IR spot, then you can cut Nick Batum and not feel that bad about it, right? Whereas like you pick him at pick 50 and I don't know, whoever you picked in the first round, Giannis, maybe Giannis gets hurt. Well, then what are you going to do? You're going to hold both, or are you going to cut and so then you get a really hard decision on your hands?
Yeah, I'm with you there. Frank Kaminsky has played a little bit more minutes than I thought he would in this preseason, but I still think you're running into the whole Dwight Howard issue with him just kind of making the the front court there bunched up. Cody Zeller is not going to get the kind of love that Tyler would want to see him get. Do you think Zeller or Kaminsky are anything but streaming players?
The second Dwight Howard gets hurt, and maybe it happens, maybe it doesn't, I definitely want Cody Zeller. But I'm waiting for that moment. I'm waiting for my shot.
I'm with you on that. Keep an eye on Cody Zeller. This is a team to keep an eye on for sure, because we just don't, if Malik Monk starts playing incredibly well, maybe that's a guy who gets picked up. And Cody Zeller, same thing with the injury with Dwight. Michael Kidd-Gilchrist has not really been playing, so do you know any word on what his personal reasons here for one of the latest game that they played?
Yeah, I think he's fine. I think everything's good. I think
he's going to be. I think he's going to be really Michael Kidd-Gilchrist this year. I think he's going to not score very much at all and do a handful of things that keep him relevant, but still going to be out of the top 100 per Michael Kidd-Gilchrist's entire freaking career.
Real good out of position though, rebounds. That's what you buy him for, right?
That is true. That is a good reason to pick him up, and the only reason to pick him up. Let's go to the Cleveland Cavaliers with the fact that Isaiah Thomas is not going to be coming back for 42 games, which we did mention. Derrick Rose is going to be starting here. I actually am, you know how much I love Derrick Rose, and I actually think he might be worth a flyer at the end of your draft.
Well, all right. The big news is Kevin Love's going to start at center, right? So
then Tristan Thompson's moved to the bench.
So it's going to be Love, it's going to be Wade, it's going to be Crowder, it's going to be Rose, and it's going to be James. So Rose is a starting point guard on a team, man. I think any starting point guard on the team can be picked.
Do you want Dwayne Wade in a standard league?
I mean, the question is, how do three guys who are all high usage kind of players, and none of them really are very good three-point shooters, space the floor? I mean, they got Kevin Love and they got Jay Crowder, I guess, to do that, but it's going to be kind of a weird Chicago Bulls from last year look with some better players.
Some much better players.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm fine with Dwayne Wade in a standard league. He's probably trending after the pick 100 territory. But I think maybe you can get him there. So
I think you probably get him in the 80, 90 range. People will probably start looking at him just because of his name value.
77 and 69. I'm probably not in on that at Yahoo or ESPN. So you boys enjoy Dwayne.
That is very high. What do you think about Kevin Love moving to center, though? Do you think that boosts his value? I definitely think it's going to help his rebounds.
Yeah, no, and the question is, how high does it trend, right? Can he get back to some of those Minnesota days? I'm not sure that he can, but he's going to be an elite rebounder, I think, this year, which is pretty impressive.
I think the other thing we want to talk about here is Jay Crowder. Jay Crowder moving into the starting lineup. Are you now drafting Jay Crowder, or do you think, as I think actually, he's going to probably play 25 some minutes and not the 30 some minutes?
Yeah, they just have so many. They just have so many bodies, right? I mean, they got Shumpert and J.R. Smith and Kyle Korver and Richard Jefferson and Channing Frye, and it's just like they have so many guys. I can't see Crowder getting huge minutes, so I'm not super interested. I'm fine if you want to take a shot at him, but he's going 69th and 64th on Yahoo and
No.
ESPN. It's a typical Cavs thing, man. A lot of these guys are getting overdrafted. Really, the only guy other than LeBron, right? Because we think LeBron's going in a good spot. The Derrick Rose is going 122 and 103. I don't love 103, but 122 on Yahoo. I mean, if that's kind of your next to last pick, I'm fine with that.
All right, let's go next to the Dallas Mavericks. Dallas, a team that I always have a special place in my heart for the Dallas Mavericks for beating the LeBron James trio down in Miami. It does look like Dennis Smith Jr. is going to play a lot of minutes for this Mavericks team. Carlisle, not known as a coach who champions rookies, and the fact that he is championing this rookie makes me very interested in Dennis Smith Jr.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think sometimes he's another one who someone reaches up a little too high for. I did a mock draft the other day where someone went for him at like 55. I mean, that's the Lonzo Ball territory, right? Just way too high.
That's too high
for a rookie guy. So where are you starting to look at him?
I'm actually starting to. I mean, the fact that it does look like he is going to play starters minutes, and just some of the things he can do on the court are very impressive to me. And it's just I'll start looking at him maybe even 75.
All right, point guard. Who would you rather, Jeremy Lin, Dennis Smith Jr.?
Oh, damn, that's a good one. I'm gonna go with Jeremy Lin. I think Jeremy Lin has the higher ceiling.
Me too. And Jeremy Lin's getting picked significantly later. George Hill, Dennis Smith Jr.
Ooh. I'm going to go with Dennis Smith Jr. Higher upside.
I'm with you there. Reggie Jackson, Dennis Smith Jr.
Dennis Smith Jr. I hate Reggie Jackson.
Reggie Jackson's guy I've been seeing slip a little bit. When we talk about
I've been seeing him slip a lot. And so I hate a lot of these guys, but not if they slip. I'll draft anybody.
Yeah, so I'm with you there. How about Alfred Payton or Dennis Smith Jr.?
Alfred Payton.
Yeah, I'm with you there. So, I mean, yeah, he kind of got him right in that kind of 75, 80 range. I'm fine with him there. Don't reach for him at 50, man. I think that probably his best case is that he finishes somewhere around that top 50. So don't be trying to grab him there.
Yeah, you just got to worry that there are a lot of point guards on this team with Barea, Devin Harrison, the great Yogi Ferrell, all vying for minutes here.
Important thing to say here, Seth Curry out with a stress reaction. Don't really know when he's going to be back. Farrell is apparently starting. They kind of made it seem like Seth Curry's going to miss a little bit of the regular season, but it's undetermined how much. Stress reaction, not stress fracture yet. Those always worry me, though, that they turn into something a little bit more. I am definitely not picking Seth Curry in a standard 10 or 12 team league right now. I think that he's just got back-end value to begin with for me, and if he's going to miss 2 or 3 or 4 weeks in a head-to-head league, I just don't really want that.
Yeah, I was probably picking him in the 11th round or later, and he's going to be on the waivers. No one's going to be like, man, I better, if you're in a 10-team league, 12-team league, no one's going to be like, I better stash Seth Curry. No one's going to say that. Are you interested in Dirk at center? Does that make you a little bit more interested?
I'm interested in Dirk in the sense that no one else is interested in Dirk, but it's probably only in deeper leagues in the sense that I don't really think he's got the upside to be amazing this year.
If you're in a roto league, he's standard league relevant. I'm going to say it.
Yeah, the problem in head-to-head is he just sits out a little bit too much and you never really know when he's going to play, and it just gets to be a pain. But in roto leagues, you want those quality games. He's going to give you some quality games because Dirk can still ball, even at age 39.
Oh yeah, he certainly can. He's just he's an efficiency monster, and he's gonna hurt Noel's value there. Noel was going a little bit higher in drafts before the news came out that Dirk would be starting at center.
Yeah, and I mean I think Nerlens is going to be fine. Nerlens could be a sneaky kind of late pick in the sense that when he sits out, he's going to get those steals and blocks that are juicy. Free throw percentage is probably not going to be great though.
You are correct about that. Let us venture to one of the best cities in the country, Denver, and let's talk about them Nuggets, one of your favorite teams.
Oh, man. I do love me some Nuggets. That is for certain.
I like me some chicken nuggets. I like me some Denver Nuggets. Um, Anything interesting in the standard league? We have seen, I think, from what I've seen, kind of watching them off and on here, Jamal Murray not playing as big of a role as I thought he would.
I saw the tweet yesterday, and from a Denver beat writer that basically said they decided Murray's going to start a point guard, and Jameer Nelson is going to be the backup.
Wow, that's interesting because I thought there was a bit of a battle there during what I've seen in preseason.
So that seems like Moody is probably out of the rotation or playing a very small role. So I definitely am not interested in him. Jamal Murray is in an interesting spot in the sense that he's a starting point guard, but I'm not expecting a ton of assists from him. I think they're going to let Millsap do some stuff. They're going to let Gary Harris do some stuff. They're definitely going to let Jokic run a lot of the offense. And so he's kind of in a weird spot where he could be one of the starting point guards with the lowest assist total.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. And I think Jameer Nelson will still play pretty decent minutes.
Yeah, I'm with you there. That's not to say that I don't like Jamal Murray. I see some guys like getting the crazy hype on him and trying to go for him at like 50, 60. Like, don't be doing that. If you want to go for him at like 100, maybe even at like 90, I'm okay with that. But let him slide. Let him slide a little bit. Don't be reaching way up for him. I understand he's going to start probably. Just you're taking out all the upside you could get with him. So just let him slide down. If someone else wants to pick him at 60 or 70 or 80, let him have him. You can get someone better.
I'm 100% on board with that. I think people got too overhyped on Jamal Murray. So if you're in auction drafts, might be a good time when you look around and see a lot of people with a lot of money to throw Jamal Murray's name out there and let him scrap for him and get that money off the board. That might be actually a pretty good pick now. To as one of our suggestions that we did in our snake auction podcast with Alex Reichland. So if you want to hear a little bit more about auction strategy, go back and listen to that one. The rest of the Denver Nuggets, Juan Hernangomez and let's see who and one of my favorite players on the Denver Nuggets, Steeman Willie Barton. They are definitely going to be deep league relevant because, like you said, Moutier, but also Kenneth Faried. This team is moving on from those guys. Yeah,
and Faried says that he's a starter, and if he's not a starter, he wants to be traded. I don't know how well that's going to work out. We talked about this, I think, in the preview that the NBA kind of passed Kenneth Faried by. And Moutier, who wants a point guard who can't make a basket?
Yeah, both of those guys were drafted at a time where it seemed like it made sense, and then the NBA immediately maneuvered its way away from their game.
Yeah, so I mean, just don't be picking them in any kind of league. If you're asking me, I wouldn't want Moutier or Faried in a. I mean, maybe if like every player who's a player in the NBA gets drafted.
Even then, I'm not taking them. I'm not drafting them in a league where you have to take every player. I'm still not taking either one of those guys. Let's go to the home of
Detroit basketball.
Detroit basketball. That was so white. What do you like going on in Detroit? There's a lot going on in Detroit.
I'll make a plug here for Mr. Reggie Jackson. Okay.
Ooh.
The hate has gone too far on this man.
Wow. Leave Reggie Jackson alone.
He's been bad. Okay, he was bad last year, and I'll give you that. But 125 on Yahoo, 125. So
that's a little low.
You're telling me with my next to last pick, I can get a starting point guard who was, I mean, what did he get picked last year? Like 50th? The year before he was what, like right around top 50 player? Give me that upside. Holla. I'll take it.
Whoa. That was also white. Yeah, I think people think there's a position battle between him and Ish Smith here. Ish Smith, obviously, very good if he can play starters minutes, but I don't think Reggie Jackson's giving up this starting point guard spot. I think he's due for a little bit of a bounce back, but he's not incredibly efficient or great point guard. So I do understand why he's going later in drafts, right? But I don't think he should be undrafted or drafted as low as he's being drafted.
I'm with you. And there is a position battle. It's called if Reggie Jackson gets hurt, Ish Smith gets the spot.
and you should be picking up Ish Smith if that happens. Are you interested in Stanley Johnson at all? Maybe in a deeper league?
No.
Wow, a hard no on that. I'm keeping an eye on Stanley Johnson, but he still hasn't learned how to shoot.
And here's the nice thing I'll say about it. It appears that he has 0 ADP, like anywhere. That no one wants Stanley Johnson. So maybe in like a 14, 16, 20 team league, I might, because it looks like he's going to get to play some minutes. But he can't shoot. I don't know what he's going to be. Is he going to be a crap version of Michael Kidd Gilchrist, like just some rebounds and nothing else?
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing about him is like he's gonna play. Like who else is gonna play? Are they gonna put Tobias at the 3? And Tobias is another guy who gets overlooked.
I'm gonna read you his preseason stat line in 26.8 minutes. Okay, you ready for this? Okay. 8.8 points on 41.9% shooting from the field, and 40% from the free throw line, with 4.8 rebounds, 1 assist, 1.8 steals. Or 1.8 turnovers, 0.8 steals, and no blocks.
Oof.
And that's in 27 minutes. Like, how many more minutes than 27 is he really going to play? I mean, he might play 32.
I don't think he's going to play much more than that.
You know what I mean? That is it. Now, it's granted, it's a 4-game sample size, but that is a crap stat line.
That is a very bad stat line.
In that many minutes. So you can have him. If you really are believing in the Stanley Johnson hype train, go ahead. I'd much rather have guys like John Lure, Langston Galloway even. I mean, give me a shot on one of those guys over Stanley.
Wow.
At least I think Langston can maybe play a little bit. Stanley, I'm not so sure.
You are a grade A Stanley Johnson hater, and I like that. Andre Drummond has been hitting his free throws. Are you excited about that?
No. I mean, good for him, but I still think if he shoots 50%, I will do a jig. I will be happy, man. I just don't see it.
I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Shoot underhand. You will get a ton of commercials. I'm just saying. Just shoot underhand. Everybody will be talking about it. You'll be on SportsCenter all the time. It'll help your publicity. I should be your agent. Andre Drummond, if you are listening to this podcast, I will happily be your agent. And I will take whatever less, like a 3% less commission than whoever's your current agent right now. I promise you that. You don't want to go too far, then you might not be getting paid. The Avery Bradley experiment. Anything exciting there that you think Avery Bradley's going to dominate this team and lead this team in scoring, or is it just he's going to be Avery Bradley?
Fine with Avery Bradley where he's getting picked. I think the rebounds are going to be a little less, and maybe the points a little bit more. So that's kind of a guns for butter trade-off there.
Fair.
As they say. I would like to mention one last thing on this team before wrapping them up, and that is I don't understand why people are drafting old Boban.
Stop drafting Boban.
Okay, maybe in like a 16, 18, 20 team league, you want a Boban, have a Boban.
Have a Boban, everyone.
Drummond is going to play at least 32 minutes a night. Boban is only a center. So simple math tells you, kids, 48 minus 32 is 16. I don't know a standard league guy who's too relevant in 16 minutes a night.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Stop drafting Boban. Let's go on to the Golden State Warriors. I think this could be pretty quick. The only thing I would want to say about this team is that it looks like Jordan Bell, who could have been in possession, the Chicago Bulls could have been in possession of this player, is going to be relevant in very deep leagues because I think he is going to get a lot of garbage time minutes, and he is going to do some fun things like dunk the ball very hard and get lots of good rebounds and block some shots. Other than that, this is pretty much the Golden State Warriors.
Take Steph Curry number 1.
Ooh, hot take. Not that hot of a take, but I like your style. Take Kevin Durant number 1 is where I'm at. Let's go to the Houston Rockets. Houston, they're pretty similar to what I thought they were going to be.
This is the least surprising team for me, baby. Even more than Golden State, because they did exactly what I figured would do. Shoot a million 3-pointers, play it really fast, and just really try to put it on the board.
Yeah, I think the one thing everybody was interested in is how Harden and Chris Paul are going to play together, and we've been saying since before the season that they're both going to be fine. People are going to start dropping CP3 in the rankings, and that is a dumb idea to do because he is a great spot up shooter. He's still going to get his. He is a great floor leader, and he's going to find people open all over the place. And what has he done so far? He's getting great assists, and so is James Harden.
Yeah, now, I mean, Harden's only played 2 games and Paul's only played 1, but 12 and 10.5 assists are the averages. They could be the first teammates ever to both average over 10 assists. It could happen, people. This team plays crazy fast. They shoot a crazy amount of threes. They're going to be fun. Clint Capella's looked better even than I thought he would. I'm excited for Clint. I was excited for Clint to begin with. Make sure you're punting free throws because he could shoot significantly more than he shot before. But yep. I love some Clint.
All right, I'm on board with that. I don't think Ryan Anderson is that good. I think Aaron Gordon is better than people think he will be because only because of his 3-point shooting, and that's exactly kind of what we said in our team preview. So let's go to the next city, Houston. Not that great of a city. Let's go to another not that great city. I'm just going to throw shade at all these cities. Indianapolis. Ooh. You know what? I've had some fun times in Indianapolis. I'll take that back. Indianapolis,
Glenn Robinson injury has opened the door for Mr. Lance Stevenson. Lance, make him dance, no pants, whatever the saying is. It looks like he's going to get more minutes. Him and Bogdanovich, the Bojan version, not the Bogdan version. I don't know that makes either one super standard league relevant, but in a deep league, they're probably not my least favorite picks.
Yeah, I think they're both deep league types of players. It looks like Darren Collison is going to still play a lot more than
big surprise. Darren Collison much better than Corey Joseph. Not a surprise at all.
I'm not surprised about it, but if you were worried about his minutes, I don't think you should be. The only thing I really want to talk about with the Pacers in the Standard League is, Oladipo. He looks fine. But he hasn't really done anything magnificent or crazy.
Oh, I think you're doing I don't know what's here. 25 minutes a game, 16 points, 15.7 points on 48% shooting, 2 threes a game, 3.3 rebounds, 4.3 assists, 2.3 steals. That sounds pretty sexy to me in 25 minutes. So
he looks fine. He looks good.
I will mention a thing here for these gentlemen. The Deuce, Thaddeus Young. 121 on Yahoo, 135 on ESPN. This is a top probably 80 player, people. You are missing the bus on Thaddeus Young.
Stop missing the bus on Thaddeus Young. You are 100% right about that. Thaddeus Young is underrated. And Oladipo, I still like picking him where we've been picking him, and so I'm not decreasing his value. And actually, it's probably good he's not having a spectacular preseason because one good preseason game would ruin his draft stock.
You gotta love it.
All right. Who's next? The Los Angeles, the Clippers of the Los Angeles area.
So are they really the LA Clippers or are they still the Los Angeles Clippers? Because I think they're the LA Clippers now, but I never see people write that. But I'm almost positive they are legitimately the LA Clippers.
I believe you are right. I believe they are the LA Clippers and not the Los Angeles Clippers.
Which is just weird, but a thing. So.
It is a tad strange. What do you like Standard League wise with what you've seen with the LA Clippers?
I'll let you talk about your boyfriend, then I'll talk about my boyfriend on this team.
Well, my boyfriend, who treats me really well, he's a very nice guy, even though he gets mad sometimes and punches trainers in the face, has been playing great. I think he looks really good. He looks like he's in Blake Griffin looks like he is in shape. He's not going to be a triple-double threat point blank like he was a handful of seasons ago when Chris Paul went down with an injury, but he is going to get more assists than I think he normally averages this year. And I still like Blake Griffin in if you're punting blocks or not interested in blocks, he's still a really great asset. He's going to score a ton. He's going to be the main focal point of this team. And Blake Griffin's going to have a good year this year.
Los Angeles Clippers name game. Ready for this? We're going to throw out some names, see who you like better, okay?
All right.
All right, you got Milos Teodosic or Pat Beverly?
Oh, that's not fair, and that's that. I mean, that's the $1 million question, right? Tadosic is the sexy name now. Everybody saw his crazy passes in those couple of preseason games. He looks like he's been drinking all night long and smoking cigarettes, and then showed up at the game. He is great to look at. He is great to watch on the basketball court, and I think his playmaking ability is going to keep him on the court, even though his defense isn't going to be that good. That said, Pat Bev, who is, I think, underrated, being underdrafted, is kind of a great all-around nightcap player. I think I'm going to have to go with Pat Beverly, surprisingly.
Yeah, and Pat Bev is actually getting picked a little higher than I thought he was. Pat Bev going at 81 and 95.
Really? I actually thought he would be out of the top 100.
So did I, and I was going to say I thought he was a value because in the couple of the drafts I've done, he slipped out of top 100, and I think he's a good value there, but apparently not. So, other Clipper, Lou Williams or Pat Beverly?
Pat Beverly. I don't think Lou Williams is going to get as many minutes as people think he is.
I know it, but I think he's still going to do some Lou Williams type things. I don't think he needs a ton of minutes to score his points and hit his threes. He is actually going 71st on Yahoo and 98th on ESPN, so above Pat Beverly in a lot of cases. And I would also rather have Pat Beverly. So,
yeah, I think Pat Beverly is the choice there. Lou Williams is still going to do stuff, but I don't think he's going to play enough minutes. And I do think Todosic is a great last round flyer. I think he's going to be really fun to watch in the NBA. Let's see, who is next. I guess I should know this one. The Los Angeles Lakers, who I believe, if I remember correctly, you have some piping hot takes for the Lakers.
Yeah, so I'll open the floor to you, and then I'll say my diatribe here. So you got anything you want to say about the Lakers before I get deep into it?
I want you just to go right after it. I don't even listen to me about this. I want to hear your take.
Okay, so last 2 preseason games, our friend Luke Walton, do you know what he's done? He has started
played everyone on the entire team, is my guess.
He has started Larry Nance Jr. over Julius Randle, okay, which doesn't seem like a huge deal. But he did the same thing last year with Nick Young, and then Nick Young stuck as the starter. So Mike Trudell, who's a reporter for the Lakers, tweeted yesterday that he hasn't made a decision on who he's going to start at power forward. I'm pretty sure it's Larry Nance. He also said that he sees Kyle Kuzma earning a role at power forward.
Wait.
So this is starting to look like a jumble. Kuzma's played great in the preseason. He shot crazy percentages that aren't going to keep up. I don't love him. He's just a score-only guy right now. That's all it looks like he's going to do is just score the ball when he plays. I don't think the role is going to be huge for Kuzma, but I think this really hurts Julius Randle's value in the sense that I don't know that he's going to get real big minutes if Larry Nance is playing that position, if Kuzma's playing that position. Randle's not going to play that much center with Brook Lopez there. I mean, maybe he slides down a little bit and some of those guys play together. Brandon Ingram could also play some 4. I'm a little bit more worried about Julius Randle than I've been.
In our preview, we basically said this team has a lot of players who need minutes, and now you throw in Kyle Kuzma in there, and you're right on track here. Like, none of these players were going to break out simply because they were probably going to play 28 to 30 minutes, just like they did the year before. Now that you got more mouths to feed here, you're probably going to see the exact same type of issue exacerbated here. And I've seen a lot of people being like, Kyle Kuzma, should I be drafting him in a standard league? No, you should not be drafting him in a standard league.
If he gets 15 minutes,
he's going to play 15 minutes a game.
If he gets 15 minutes and I start the season, I wouldn't be surprised, but that's probably his ceiling. I don't see him really getting much more than that, especially with all those other guys around.
Yeah, he looks great, but he's on the Lakers, and he's playing a lot of minutes in preseason, and he's hitting all of his shots. You think he's going to hit all of his shots against real NBA talent? It's not going to happen.
Well, and some of it's been against the subpar NBA players, too, that he's scored a lot of the points in. So now he's scored against some good guys, don't get me wrong, but some of it's fake numbers. Another interesting thing for me here is they don't appear to want to play Jordan Clarkson as the backup point. They want to play either Tyler Enos or Alex Caruso, who is on a two-way contract but could get brought up to the big team. So that could be a problem if Lonzo Ball misses time. I mean, Enos could play some huge minutes, or maybe they do finally decide to go with Clarkson. I don't know. It worried me, though, because I figured Clarkson would be the backup one, and these guys like Enos and Caruso wouldn't play. I don't really think that they're super good NBA players, so that worries me a hair bit.
I like where your head's at. I think, we do talk about these guys. There could be some deep league value with some of those names that we mentioned, Kuzma and Caruso. And so do pay attention to this team if you are in a deeper league. But standard leagues is looking like, there's a possibility that your Randalls, your Larry Nances are going to have to start sharing minutes. And that's not a great sign.
Yeah, and he doesn't play a ton of minutes anyways. So, he doesn't love to play guys more than 30 minutes a night. So this team is just kind of one to be hesitant on, and I know no one will. So,
all right, let's move on to a great city. From one great city, LA, to another great city, has some of the best ribs and chicken you can eat in this fine country of ours. The Memphis Grizzlies. We've only played 3 games, really. There's not a ton to look at here, but they got some things they got to figure out in Memphis. Who's starting? Who's playing?
Yeah, this is kind of a crazy jumble. It looks like Mario Chalmers won the backup point guard job. So if you're in a league where that matters,
it's wild.
But yeah, he beat out Wade Baldwin, right? Which is a lot of people are clamoring for Wade Baldwin in that draft, and Wade Baldwin not looking strong right now.
Bad sign for Wade.
I still don't really know what they're going to do at some of these positions. Tyreke Evans only played 1 game. He's dealing with some just lingering injury stuff. Maybe they play some James Ennis there. I mean, they just have so many names still, and we're still really not sure what they're going to do because guys have been hurt. The one guy I want to talk about here is the old Chandler Parsons, now looking like a power forward, right? Been playing a lot of power forward. Does that make you more or less interested in Mr. Chandler Parsons?
I mean, considering health is his issue, and if he might have to bang against some bigger guys, it makes me a little less interested in him. But I'm less interested in him simply because, what have we seen from him this preseason that indicates that he might have any flashes of yore? Like Parsons looks like he's still kind of a work in progress, and I don't know if he'll ever make any progress.
This whole team has just been really weird. I mean, the leading point scorer per game averages on the team is 10 a game. They have 3 guys scoring 10 points a game. They just have played everybody anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes. No one's played a ton. It's been all spread out. It just looks like a crazy roster if you look at their stats right now.
So yeah,
Chandler Parsons, though, not the worst last round pick, right? Not the worst guy.
No, I'm with you on that, actually. Would you rather take Tyreke Evans or Chandler Parsons with your last round pick?
Wow. I mean, 2 guys, right, in similar boats, both injury risks. I think it's Chandler Parsons in the sense that I think they're ready to give him more minutes. I don't think anyone's going to give Tyreke big minutes, right? He played on the Kings at the end of last year, and the Kings played him, and they said, there's no way he's playing more than 25 minutes. So I don't know if that was, Tyreke's management or the Kings management or who was –
I think that was a Kings management thing, and occasionally he would play, and you should know this. You were watching the Kings, and he would play, and he'd have a really, really good game, and they'd be we better sit that guy.
He looks real good, right?
The Kings were trying to take. They didn't want to give that draft pick over to Chicago. Thanks.
He looks real good in spurts. I don't know what to expect from either one. I like Tyreke. I like Chandler Parsons. I don't hate either one as your last round pick.
I'm taking Tyreke with my last pick over Chandler Parsons. I think Tyreek's just got to. I think he's got to play the 2 here. I think he's got to play heavier minutes. Ben McLemore is out for 12 games or so.
12 games. I think you better.
Is it longer? He's got a broken foot, right?
Yeah, 8 to 12
But that
weeks.
happened last year.
No, it happened during the offseason. 8 to 12 weeks he was out when he got hurt, and that was just before training camp started. So.
Oh, well, never mind. He's going to be out for much longer. I'm not worried about Mario Chalmers taking minutes from Tyreke Evans. I'm actually really not worried about any of these guys taking minutes from Tyreke Evans. I think Tyreke Evans does play some significant minutes, and I'm willing to take a flyer on him simply because I've seen him produce recently. Not I've seen him produce last year.
On August 8th, he was scheduled to miss 12 weeks. So
ew, that is not great. I don't know. That's still, what late November, December.
yeah, basically 3 months from when it happened. So yeah, so
Okay.
December.
Any thoughts about JaMychal Green?
He is JaMychal Green.
All right, thank you. Let's move on to the next team. That is brutal for JaMychal Green. Hopefully he does not listen to this podcast. JaMychal Green, if you're listening to this podcast, I'm interested in being your agent. I will take 3% less than your current agent. Let's move on to the Miami Heat because they are very interesting. They've been playing a lot of different rotations, and
Why are they starting Rodney McGruder? Why?
Yeah, I'm still not sure what's going on in Miami. So same with Memphis. We were saying we got to see preseason, see what's going on there, and then the preseason was a big jumble mess. Same thing's going on in Miami. I don't know what's going on here.
Yeah, no, it's hard to figure out what they're going to do on this wing situation. Justice Winslow let it out of the bag that he is not going to be a starter, but I still don't know what that means, right? Because we talk about that a lot. You cannot be a starter and still play like 31, 32 minutes a game. So,
yeah, it actually piques my interest a tad bit, simply because does that mean he is going to run the offense on the second team? Does that mean he is going to fit into that role that they said he was going to fit into last year, where he was going to be kind of a point forward? But the better question probably is he even good enough to bother to do that with? All these guys got question marks, and I don't know if I feel comfortable taking. I don't know. I mean, James Johnson, Dion Waiters, Josh Richardson, Tyler Johnson, they all had fairly decent, interesting years last year, right? Kelly Olynyk on this team now. Man, I honestly, all those guys would be good for later in the draft type of picks if you knew they were going to play the minutes. I don't know if we know any of these guys are going to play the minutes.
The guy I'm most interested in as far as the late round guys go is probably Kelly Olynyk. I don't know that he's going to get the minutes, but I think if he, even in 25 minutes, I think he'll be all right. And if he gets more than that, he could be real interesting.
Yeah, if you look at their depth chart, it does seem like he is going to play more minutes than not, and he was, he's a very competent NBA player. So,
Josh Richardson too. I mean, I could get on board with him. Josh Richardson, 13 points in 26 minutes this preseason. 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 1.4 steals, 1.6 blocks. He's a great blocks guy for a guard. So if you need blocks with your last pick and you need guard stats, this might be your Huckleberry, man. 196 on Yahoo, undrafted on ESPN. Not the worst last pick.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people picking him earlier than the last pick. I find it interesting, considering we just don't know that situation. But I'm with you there. I think it's worth a flyer.
You got to think that they're all not going to get like huge minutes, right? With all that log jam, there's just no way they can all get 30 minutes. So
a very LA Lakers situation there.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. I don't think some of them, and then none of them might get 30 minutes, right? Whiteside might get big minutes, and Dragic and like nobody else. They might all just kind of shuffle around there in the right around 28, 30 mark. So something to keep an eye on.
All right, I'm with you there. Keep an eye on the Lakers. Keep an eye on Miami Heat. See how that rotation plays out. We're just going to have to wait till the regular season starts to get to the bottom of this, but there is ample opportunity on both of those teams for someone to break out. So that is why you have to watch the boxes. See how that was done?
Oh man, look at
see that working right in there.
Working the title right in.
Let's go to a city that is actually is a pretty fun city. Gets a little cold there. Milwaukee. How do you like these Bucks? I feel like they're playing out exactly the way we thought they would.
Spot on. I have not seen anything from Milwaukee that has surprised me too much. Giannis missed some games there, but other than that, I mean, so we got some craziness with the rotations in that sense. That there was no Giannis to play. I'm not surprised by anything. Rashad Vaughn's having a good preseason, but I don't think that's a thing. I don't really have much else to say about him.
In Yahoo leagues, Malcolm Brogdon is being taken 88th. Do you think that's too high or too low?
I'm all right with that. I don't love it. I don't usually pick him there. I usually just pick before I'm into him. And it's probably that I have him right around there. It's kind of a shuffle for me that some of the guys Yahoo has ranked above him, I have ranked below him. And some of the guys Yahoo has ranked below him, I have ranked above him. So I don't end up with Brogdon on a lot of my teams, but I'm all right with him in that 80-90 range.
Yeah, I don't end up. He doesn't end up on my teams very much either. And maybe he should. If your league is overlooking him, maybe take a closer look at Brogdon. I think he's going to play pretty good minutes there, and they have a really set starting group in Milwaukee. And so, like you said, I don't think there's anything to see here that we didn't already kind of play out earlier in the season. Obviously, we're huge fans of Chris Middleton, and he looks like he's going to be a very good fantasy player, just like we thought. All right, who's next?
Who is next? Now, come on, Mike. Don't let me down.
The Thibodeau T-Wolves. I don't even have to go look at their preseason stats to know that Thibodeau is going to play his starters incredibly heavy minutes. And it's going to be very similar to how we thought it was going to be, other than the position battle between Taj Gibson and Gorgeous Dang.
So I was discussing this with somebody yesterday, and I'm really worried about Gorgie. Because here's what I've seen in their preseason games, and I've gotten to see all 3 of their games that they played. Good old Bielitsa has snuck in there and played the power forward, and Dang has played with him as the center pretty much exclusively. Because I've noticed that Dang hasn't been out there with the Karl Anthony Towns or the Taj Gibson. He's been out there with the Bielitsa only pretty much.
And actually, if you think about last year and how bad the T-Wolves were at defense, doesn't this kind of make sense?
Yeah, so that's a worry, right? And I think he's getting overdrafted. I mean, 79th on Yahoo, 60th on ESPN. I never drafted Tibbs bench player. That's one of my mantras, right? Because Tibbs is a crazy man.
He is certainly an insane person.
And I'm really worried about Dang. So he's not a guy I'm looking at. Good upside for him if he can get minutes, but I just don't really see it right now. I think Taj is going to get plenty of minutes. And if he's the backup center to Karl Anthony Towns, like, isn't Karl Anthony Towns going to play like 35 minutes a night?
Yeah, and you're dead on if Dang's primary role is center, his minutes have dropped significantly. And I was an early adopter on Gorgeous Dang, and he is a player who's so incredibly efficient across the board. He's a great 9-cat player when he appeared on the scene, right? But that season he appeared on the scene, when he would play like 31 minutes, he was like a top 60 guy, top 70 guy, and then he would play 27 minutes and he would disappear off the map. And you'd be like, what's going on here? It was just because he lives on that margin. And if he's going to be coming off the bench and being below that margin, he's not going to be standard league relevant. In fact, Taj Gibson might be standard league relevant simply because he's going to be starting in a better situation.
Yeah. I don't necessarily know. I don't think Taj is really going very high, right? 132 on Yahoo, not at all on ESPN. I'm fine with him in that kind of last pick range if you need what Taj is going to give you. Definitely some guys I like a lot better, though.
Yeah, there is usually some guys I like better, but if you're desperate for rebounds and some decent points there, too.
Could be a 14 or 16 team league guy, though, that gets kind of interesting just because he's going to get a lot more minutes than some of the other guys in that general range where he's getting picked.
Yeah, no.
If you're on ESPN and he's not getting picked at all, like you can play a 14 or 16 team league on ESPN and he's ranked way down there, you can get some nice value there.
I'm with you on that. Taj is definitely worth owning in those bigger leagues. So is Bielitsa. I think he could be someone interesting. He was interesting last year.
Rhymes with pizza. Come on, get it right.
Bielitsa.
Rhymes with pizza.
There's a squiggle on there. Bielitsa. He's like a pizza. So other than that, Minnesota, kind of what we thought. Let's go to one of the most fun cities in America, New Orleans Pelicans. Rondo got a hernia, basically, right?
Yes, sir.
Oh, that sounds terrible. He's going to be out for, I think, a month. Was that 4 to 5 weeks?
So 2 guys had a hernia, and one was 4 to 6 weeks, and the other one was 3 to 4 weeks. So I don't know what the difference in the hernias was.
Just a worse hernia.
But, I mean, don't you just have surgery for a hernia, and then you think you'd heal at relatively the same amount of time? So a month, he's out. You got to, bump your holiday up a little bit. during that time. The crazy thing is who's going to play with Solomon Hill out? Who's going to play that small forward spot? And are they going to be any kind of relevant even in a deep league? They got a lot of options. They got an Ian Clark. They got a Tony Allen now. They got a lot of names. I don't know how many of them
I
are
think
super intricate.
Dante Cunningham getting a lot of minutes in the preseason here, and
but not producing anything, right?
But looking like he didn't even play. Like you look at his stat lines, it's like, all right, he played 25 minutes. How did he not get a rebound?
Yeah, how did he not do anything? He scored like a point and had like a steal.
I'll tell you how he did. He didn't do anything. They stuck him in the corner, and Anthony Davis and Cousins just went to work on every single play, and that was exactly what was going on. I'm with you on Drew Holiday being a much more interesting pick. We kind of moved him down in our rankings because of the Rondo effect. Rondo will be out for only a month or two-ish, and so don't get your hopes up that Drew Holiday is going to have a great season, but he's probably a tad bit more valuable, maybe a half a round more valuable. And probably in deeper leagues, Etuan Moore will be playing more minutes than previously expected with Rondo being out as well. So he's probably a good pickup in the deeper leagues.
Yeah, no, and Etuan Moore also could play some 3. And so I could see Etuan Moore getting some heavy minutes here.
Out of all the fringe players on this team, Etuan Moore is the one I like the most, the one I've seen most actually playing at an NBA level on the court. The rest of these guys, they're super questionable.
I'm kind of with you on that.
All right, let's go to the Big Apple, one of the greatest cities in the entire world.
Hold
on. To the New York Knicks.
Hold on a second. This damn NBA stats doesn't let me look at anything anymore, so I'm like flying blind here. I gotta find somewhere where I can look up the damn stats. Just like till they took a crap and it keeps saying no statistics available.
That's nice.
So I gotta figure out.
Actually, let's take like a 2-minute break. I've had to piss for quite a bit.
All right.
I'll be back. Okay.
Hello. Sometimes you say goodbye. I say hello.
Exactly.
This sucks. The only way I can do it now is if I like just sort it by the team. So it's like really hard to figure out what the hell stat is what.
That's nice. Yeah, I mean,
Got
just gonna have to wing it, I guess.
Let's do this.
All right, cool. Just give me just a little bit of silence, and then I'll just go. We're talking about the New York Knicks. Standard league relevance wise, what are you seeing in New York that's interesting you?
Enes Kanter. I love me some Enes Kanter.
That has been the big news of this the preseason, I guess, or I guess when Melo left. That does mean you're going to see a lot more load on Porzingis, but Enes Kanter, a favorite pick, I think, for late drafts all around.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I think that he's just going to get those bulk points and rebounds with really good percentages, which matter. I mean,
yeah, he played. I mean, he played in limited minutes in Oklahoma City and was relevant, and he's going to play more. I think he's got to play more minutes in New York. I know it's kind of a loaded front court there with Noah and Hernan Gomez, but Kanter's got the talent, and I think he's going to be playing really nicely with Porzingis there.
Well, and I mean, I think that this eliminates Hernan Gomez. Like, I'm not interested in Hernan Gomez in a standard league, really. And I still see people going after him, and I don't really understand why. I think that Enes Kanter is the better version of Willie Hernan Gomez. Is that crazy?
No, I don't think that's crazy at all. Hernan Gomez is very good, and he can look good at times. And I think he's going to have some interesting games, right? But Enes Kanter has the history of playing against NBA caliber talent, and I don't know why they would, I know why they would make that trade because they want to get rid of Melo, but I don't know why they wouldn't just move Enes Kanter to another team if they wanted to play Hernan Gomez. I think Kanter's going to play very good minutes.
So 21 minutes a game this preseason in 3 games, shooting 50% and 15.7 points a game for Kanter in 21 minutes.
21 minutes.
Kanter can score. Kanter can rebound. Kanter does not do a ton else other than shoot really good percentages, but he's going to do those 2 things. Don't be picking Willie Hernan Gomez in your standard league. The big question is who the heck's going to play point guard, and I don't know that I've figured it out yet.
Yeah, I think all we've learned is that that old Frankie Nicotine is going to play a little bit more at the beginning of the season than we thought he was going to. We all kind of assumed he would be eased into that role, but like in New York, they don't do anything right in the Knicks organization, and so they're going to force a giant workload on Porzingis, and it looks like they're going to force a workload on old Frank as well.
Yeah, and thoughts on Tim Hardaway's 16 points in 26 minutes a night here in the preseason? Is he going to be a beast of a scorer?
I like what I'm seeing there. I don't think he's going to be a beast of a scorer, but I think he's going to be, maybe better than people thought. I don't think he's going to live up to that contract by any means, but
going 86 and 86 on ESPN and Yahoo.
That seems fair. I don't think I would reach down for him because, like this is preseason and we have not seen him being manhandled for an entire game.
Yeah, that's one of those things too where like I at that pick I'm fine with it. I'm fine if he slips a little bit, but I'm definitely not reaching for him. I don't really feel great about picking him. He just is a points and percentages guy, I guess. I mean, and are the percentages really even going to be that good? He doesn't really give you a ton of rebounds. He doesn't really give you a ton of assists. He doesn't really give you much anywhere else. And maybe some threes. It's like I just don't love him.
No, I don't love the fact that he's just doesn't really have a fantastic upside, in my opinion. So
that's what I mean. And like I can grab a guy like, I don't know, Alan Crabb way later, and like aren't they kind of similar players? Like, yeah, okay, he might score a little bit more, but the difference in the swap pick I'm going to make there is going to balance that out easily. So, I mean, I'm probably not going to own Tim Hardaway. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, neither am I, and I'm totally okay with that. Let's go out of New York. Unless you have anything else there, maybe a deep league, maybe a Doug McDermott sighting.
Not for me.
All right, well, let's go to where Melo ended up in the jewel of the Midwest, OK City, one of the dustiest places you can live, I assume.
That was very random. I'm not gonna lie to you. That was very, very random.
Seems like a dusty place. So now we got Paul George, like we said early in our preseason, But Carmelo Anthony joining this team, whether he's going to be Hoodie Mello or USA Mello, or I isolate the entire offense around me and it stops for 22 full seconds, nobody moves, and I shoot a fadeaway jumper Mello. I'm not sure, but I'm guessing it's going to be one of the first two and not ISO Mello.
Yeah, no, I mean, maybe there'll be a minute or two where he gets out there without the other two and he goes crazy ISO ball, but I think Melo's going to be Melo in the sense that Melo's going to score, though, right? I mean, like, I think he's getting hated on a little bit too much. I think he's going to push close to 20 points a game, and at where Melo's going, there's not many 20-point scorers around.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. Like, where he's being drafted, I think he was being underdrafted going into this season, but now that he's in OK City, like, he's definitely being underdrafted.
Well, and the ADP says on Yahoo he's still going 45th. I don't see that. Every time I'm there, he's in the 60s. He's still available, and a lot of times I'm picking him because in the 60s, you find me another 20-point scorer that hasn't been picked. You know what I mean? Like, because Victor Oladipo's been going because I pick him over Melo. So maybe Victor Oladipo could score 20. I'm looking around going, there ain't no one else who's going to give me the points Melo can give me, and maybe I need points. I'm going to pick Melo in that 60s range.
Yeah, I like your thought process there, especially since scoring is hard to find that late in your draft. With Enes Kanter gone here, is Steven Adams a more interesting pick for you?
Steven Adams, only center in town. I love that. I love that about him. He's probably a punt free throw guy, although you can make his up because he doesn't shoot a high volume of attempts usually. Good rebounds, no one to push him for minutes, gonna give you some decent blocks, a real good field goal percentage. I'm a big Steven Adams fan. I think that where he's going, I'd actually reach down for him and pick him over some of those guys that are getting picked over him in a lot of leagues. Like you see Marcin Gortat, Dang, who we just talked about. Sarge is going over him in some cases. Guys like James Johnson, I'm in for Steven Adams over all those types.
Yeah, I think he's getting overlooked in drafts, and I see that over and over. And actually, I've been overlooking him as well. And it's weird because I definitely had him last year as someone I picked up off the waiver wire, maybe took late in a draft, and he did me well last year. So I feel a little bit bad disrespecting the 24-year-old Steven Adams. Any late round kind of, I guess, deeper league picks here? Andre Roberson, Patrick Patterson.
Roberson I like for the steals, right? We talked about this when we did the season preview. Roberson steals and pretty good blocks for a guard, so I don't hate that in a deeper league. I'm all right with him. He's kind of a no points guy. I'll mention Jeremy Grant just in the sense that I think he could maybe play some backup 5 and get a few more minutes than I think people thought he was going to get. Not a great, exciting player, but in a real deep league, maybe a guy who gets 20 minutes you need, and I think Jeremy Grant might get that.
I think that's pretty interesting. I'd like to see that small lineup. This will be a fun team to watch, and I'm definitely going to go see them in person. Let's go to what could possibly be the worst city in the hemisphere, the Orlando Magic.
So should I read your boyfriend's stat line? Just get it out of the way right now.
Please do.
Okay, 23.6 minutes a game, 4 games. 51.9% from the field, 37.5% from 3-point line, 69.2% from the foul line, which you don't love. Everything else is even pretty sexy though. 7.5 rebounds, only 0.8 assists, only half a steal, only half a block, but 17.8 points.
That's fine. That's someone who could be a 1-1-1 guy. In full starting minutes.
Yeah, so he's looking real sexy in 24 minutes. He's had a hot run of cards, so to speak. I mean, he's not gonna average 25 points a game, which is basically what he's on pace to average in 35 minutes. But he's looked real good, and it's probably bad for you, Mike.
It's bad for me in my drafts that I have upcoming this season because I think people will be
89 and 83, right? He seemed really sexy. But we talked about it just a little bit ago in the last podcast that if you have to pick him at pick 50, I don't love him. I like him at after pick 60, I'm fine with him. But if I got to pick him at 50, I think that's taking away some of the value of him, and that's kind of semantics there. But you also got to think like we spent all preseason, we love him at pick 80 where he's actually getting drafted, right? So I'm already taking 20 spots of value out of it. If I pick him at 60, I don't really want to take 30 because I don't really see him being a top 30 player. Like I see him being somewhere in that 40 to 50 range at his ceiling.
I'm gonna even though I'm quite in love with Aaron Gordon, he is. I think you're right about the fact that his ceiling isn't top 20 player. You know, he's going to be good. He's going to have some good looking stats, right? But his percentage hurts him a little bit, and he's not there yet. I think he's someone who could get there one day, right? But he's not there yet. I don't think he's gonna get there this year, and to where he's kind of like an all-star type player. And yeah, you're 100% right. Where if you got to take him at like the 60th pick, it's not much of a value. I was taking him in the 7th round in a lot of mock drafts, and I was pretty happy about that. And that was a reach down. If you got a reach in the 5th round, there's no value there.
Yeah, no. So that's not for me, and I've seen people do it, and that's what you got to remember, right? Like when we say we like these guys, we like them where they're getting picked to be a real good value, and we're even willing to reach a little bit for them, but don't reach 10 rounds for him. Like, don't pick Jamal Murray at pick 50. Like, yeah, I like Jamal Murray, but I like him because he's getting picked at a pick 100, and I think he can be like a top 75 player. So don't pick him at pick 50. You're gonna get a bust if you're picking him there.
Yeah, anyone else in Orlando that has had an interesting preseason? Evan Fournier is kind of doing every Fournier things. Terrence Ross looks like he's going to play a little bit more.
There's been one interesting man here, and it is the Jonathan Simmons. 14 points a game in 24 minutes here for Mr. Simmons.
Dunking all over people.
Shooting horrendous percentages from the field and from the three-point line.
Ooh.
And 3 rebounds, 2.8 assists, 1.4 steals, and half a block. Now the steals and the blocks sound pretty good in 24 minutes, but you don't love 3 assists and 3 steals. I mean, that's not a ton. But that's,
is he worth a standard? Is he worth a standard league flyer?
I don't think so. Just because I think that Fournier gets minutes there. I think they're gonna play Jonathan Isaac some. They're gonna play Terrence Ross minutes over him. I don't really see how he has a big role. I think Aaron Aflalo will play some. I just don't really see how he gets big minutes.
I think he's going to have. I think he's actually going to have some more minutes than I think you are thinking he's going to be. But I think that just makes him a streamer, not someone you want at the end of your bench. In bigger leagues, Jonathan Isaac is definitely someone I would be targeting, simply because he could really put together some interesting stat lines. And keeper leagues too. He's probably a good guy to target. But we have talked about that in the past. Anything else in Orlando?
No, that's about it for me.
All right, let's go to the city of brothers loving each other, Philadelphia, for the 76ers. And like I think I mentioned, either in this podcast or the last podcast, Joel Embiid with his debut this evening in 15 minutes, destroying the entire world, burning the world to the ground. 22.7 rebounds, 3 assists, and a block in 15 minutes.
Hashtag don't pick alert.
Ooh.
Don't pick Rashawn Holmes.
Yeah.
He had fractured wrist. Going to be out 4 to 6 weeks. So hashtag don't pick Rashawn Holmes.
Wow. Breaking news here on the podcast. One of the guys I think I've been most interested in for this preseason with the 76ers was going to be Fultz. Fultz's shot is
29.2%, my friend, and 40% from the free throw line. A very sexy percentage, man. And he has shot 1.5 3-pointers a game in his 2 games. So he has shot 3 3-pointers. And you want to guess how many of those 3 he's made?
0?
Yes, sir.
Whoo, boy. That is
it has been ugly.
That's scary. That's downright scary. What does this mean for the rest of the team? I mean, what does this mean for Markelle Fultz? Are you drafting him at all in a standard league?
And this is what happens with me with a lot of rookies. No, I'm not. And if I could maybe get him as my last pick, okay, maybe I stash him. If it's a roto league, that's a little bit different because obviously I'm not super worried about playing those bench players. Fultz is the guy I hope someone else picks, and I hope someone else picks him really high, and he stinks for the first 2 months, which is what's going to happen. And then once he finally adjusts to playing in the NBA, he'll be good. He'll be on the waivers. I'll pick him up. I'll have a nice value for me.
That's a great way to approach him, and I'm with you there. I don't think I'm not picking him. Maybe if he's the very last pick in the draft, and I'm saying this as someone who picked him in the listener league for some reason, and knowing all the things that I know right now, I said, you know what, I'm going to hold on to him instead of putting him on the waiver wire. Screw all y'all. I got good guards. Don't worry about it. Yeah, this is not looking good for him, but that does probably mean more playing time for Ben Simmons.
So let's talk about the sexiness of Benny so far. 24 minutes, terrible percentages, terrible, 39.5 and 40.
Ooh.
He has shot 0.8 threes a game, and he has made an astonishing 0. So, but here's the other numbers in 24 minutes: 6 rebounds, 5.5 assists, 1.8 steals, 0.8 blocks, and 9.5 points.
That's nice. That is like kind of a broke ass Ricky Rubio.
Yeah, and so I mean at pick 50, where he's going, I mean maybe I don't love it, but I'm okay with it. 52 and 50. I'd like it to be a little later. He's got that kind of rookie hype on him still. But
I think that's still too high.
But I mean, if he was at 60, though, I'd be pretty interested in that.
He cannot shoot. I think that's a little too high just simply because he can't shoot.
And he's going to drag both percentages down, whereas at least Rubio can make his free throws.
Yeah.
Right? He's going to drag both percentages down. And he's shot in a lot more attempts than Rubio. I mean, 9.5 attempts in 24 minutes. If he's playing 32 minutes, that's like 13, 14 attempts. I mean, that's some serious message.
A couple of things on this team that I'd like to ask you about. Number one, if Fultz is going to be suspect, is Bayless or McConnell the guy to be looking at, or is it just kind of a crapshoot at this point?
TJ McConnell is a Brett Brown favorite. So I think, and I thought this from the beginning, even if Fultz was good, they're kind of looking at him as a point guard, but a 2 guard on the offense, right? They're going to let Ben Simmons run the point. I think when Ben Simmons isn't out there, I think they're going to let McConnell run that offense, even if Fultz picks it up. I don't know how much point guard Fultz is actually going to play all season long. I think they're trying to get him adjusted to the NBA, get his jump shot better, and kind of making him an off guard.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good synopsis. I think that is definitely what could happen. Speaking of the off guard here, JJ Redick, I think, is going criminally underdrafted in most leagues. I think he's going to be a little bit more JJ of old. He's going to be playing close to 30 minutes. He's going to be hitting a lot of threes. He's going to be open on this team. People are going to find him. I'm liking JJ a little bit more than I think the consensus in the average draft ranking show.
I'm with you too, just because I think he's going to get a ton of minutes. I don't think Lowell, Cabarro, Bayless, any of those guys are really going to steal too many minutes off of him. So
Stauskas? Stauskas.
Not going to be in the rotation.
Oof.
116 for Redick. I love that. I'm fine with him. I mean, heck, I could see him being a top 100 player easy on this team.
Oh, I think he's definitely I think he's definitely a top 100 player because he's efficient.
And I could even see it like around 80 with the value there. So I mean, that's a nice 40 spot value. I mean, you know what I mean? If he can push his way to like pick number 80 for the season and you get him at 116, that's a heck of a good value there.
I'd be excited about that. Speaking of late round values, Dario Saric has played very good minutes.
I wish he was a late round pick. That's the problem with him. 82 and 71.
Are people still taking him like he's gonna play?
82 and 71. If he was picked where Redick was picked, I'd be loving him. But he's not. If you're a man who thinks Joel Embiid is going to get hurt, he might return that value, just in the sense that he'll get a lot of minutes if Embiid sits out a ton. But I mean, I'm not picking him there.
Yeah, you kind of hope everybody's out on him and you can get him for $1. You get him late in the draft, and because he's going to play very good minutes on that second team, and man, he can really put up a stat line if he wants to.
Yeah, no, a fun player to watch too.
Yeah, definitely, and they're going to find ways to get him on the floor and get him playing a lot more. So I definitely think he's standard league relevant. Some people might think he's fallen out of standard league relevancy, but I'd rather take a chance on him than a lot of players, simply because of his ceiling. Let's go to the hottest damn place in the country. It is a city in the desert, the Phoenix Suns. Anything you learned from the Phoenix Suns? I'm seeing a lot of Alex Lynn playing in the preseason.
Yeah, 27 minutes a game, excuse me. Shooting 73% from the field on 7.7 attempts a game. No, that's horrendous. I mean, so yeah, Alex Len's had a hot run of cards here, which I mean, I think him and Chandler are relatively going to split those minutes since Alan Williams is out for a while. So what is that? I mean, what's the split? It's probably 28 and 20, maybe.
I mean, that's
maybe
better
25.
news for Lynn, right? That's better news for Lynn because it looked like he was splitting it 3 ways, but he's not going to – I don't think he's going to start. Like some nights he's going to play 30-some minutes, and some nights Chandler's going to play 30-some minutes, and this is the exact problem we talked about in our preview.
The more interesting thing for me, and it could be a small sample size thing, is in 26 minutes a game, Mr. Devin Booker, 4.7 assists. The Suns have talked a lot about giving him more ball handling duties this year. Important to remember he's still super young. We both talked about this a lot. He scores a lot of points, but he's still kind of getting a little bit overdrafted. If he can tick those rebounds up though to 4.5, I mean, he gets a little bit more interesting, and he has a better shot of returning the value where he's getting picked at. I probably won't own him much this year just because I think he's being overdrafted though.
Yeah, he's definitely being overdrafted, and that is a shame because I think he's going to provide pretty good value. If he was being considered like he used to be considered, but when you score 70 points in a game, you're never going to be overshadowed again, especially when you're that young. Josh Jackson with a really good line tonight in the Suns Portland game. He played 40 minutes, so this is skewed. It's preseason. It's 40 minutes, but still, he was able to put 22 points up, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, and a block. Josh Jackson's going to have some talent. I just don't think he's going to have the playing time.
It's scaring me off Mr. TJ Warren a little bit because they have a lot of those power forwards. I mean, they're going to want to play Bender. They're going to want to play Chris. I think they might play those two together a little bit. So Josh Jackson, I think, is going to get some minutes. I think TJ Warren, I mean, has been playing a lot of minutes. I think maybe his minutes get knocked down a little bit. They're going to want to play Tyler Ulis some. So they might run the Ulis, Bledsoe, Booker lineup, and then Josh Jackson at the 4 and Dragon Bender at the 5, like go real small. I think TJ Warren could just be in a little bit of a pinch here. Now, he's not being drafted super high. You can still get him 129 and 125, which I think is fine for his value. I actually think that he's being a little underdrafted, but don't expect a huge TJ Warren year just because I think he's going to be a little bit stuffed for minutes.
Yeah, there's a lot of minutes to go around in Phoenix. Let's go to who's next? What did I think it's Portland. A lovely, beautiful city with great beer. Portland. Not a lot surprising me here with what I've seen in this preseason. Obviously, it's Dame and CJ's team. I will say I have seen not enough Mo Harkless.
And I read a report that they're thinking about starting one Caleb Swanigan. Rook. Now, look at the Rook stat line here. Okay, let me read you just the enticing bits of it. 17.6 minutes a game, 48% from the field.
Okay.
70% from the free throw line, which for a big isn't horrendous though, right? I mean, he's not in the punt territory. He's okay. 7.5 rebounds in 17 minutes.
Okay. Now you got my interest peaked. Is he hitting threes?
Points.
Is he hitting any
half a three at 40%?
What's his steals look like?
Half a steal in the 4 games. Half a steal a game in the 4 games.
Interesting.
And no blocks yet, but it's only a 4-game sample size, right? So steals and blocks can kind of come in bunches, right? And change the average a lot. So I think those averages are probably the least sticky for me, right? Yes. Because they just don't happen as much. But 7.5 rebounds in 17 minutes, like, nice, right? And they're kind of undecided on who they're going to start in the sense that they got Lillard, McCollum, and Nurkic. those 3 and 4 spots, I mean, they got Harkless, they got Turner, Swanigan, Zach Collins, Al-Farouq Aminu. I don't really know who they're going to play. If they go with Swanigan as that starting 4, and they say Swanigan's going to play 30 minutes a night, I might be interested in a flyer on that, man.
Yeah, I like where your head's at. I think maybe in deep leagues you go ahead and take a flyer on Swanigan. Yeah, Mo Harkless seems to not really have taken any further steps than when he was from his Orlando days.
But another one
is not terribly exciting.
Any of these guys, though, they're not really being drafted. So if you want to take a flyer, like Evan Turner's your man, Al-Farouq Aminu's your man, whoever you're backing to play the big minutes, because none of them are really even being drafted except for maybe as a last pick. So if you got a horse in this race, back it.
I'm with you there. Let's make sure we pay attention to that position battle as we move into the regular season. And let's go to Sacktown, where all the sacks are. You know the most about the Kings. I'm going to let you have at it.
They're giving Zach Randolph a lot more shot attempts than I thought they would, which is a scary thought because that's not sexy for a 35-year-old man. Great. I think they're going to start Bogdanovich, which is nice, but they're also going to maybe start Garrett Temple. They've been messing around, and I say this to people a lot. I don't love to own a King. Jaeger is one of the guys who loves to mess with his rotation maybe more than any coach. He'll start Willie Cauley-Stein for 3 games, play him 32 minutes, and then the next game he'll play Willie Cauley-Stein 10 minutes off the bench. And you'll be like, oh, why'd you do that, brother? What were you thinking? I think he doesn't know what he wants to do yet. He's still kind of messing with it. It's important to remember this team had a ton of turnover, right? I mean, their 2 longest tenured players are Willie Cauley-Stein and Costa Koufos, both entering their 3rd year on the team. That's it. That's all they got. And then they got 5 rookies, basically, if you count Bogdanovich as a rookie. They've got a ton of new faces. I mean, they added George Hill. They added Zach Randolph. They added Vince Carter. I don't think he knows what he wants to do yet. So this is definitely a work in progress team. If I'm backing someone to lead the team in scoring, it's still George Hill. I don't think Galabissiere or Willie Cauley-Stein are going to play as many minutes as you think they are at the beginning of the season, which stinks for fantasy. Tread lightly on anybody. That's all I'll say.
I think that's very good advice. We have seen a lot of weird lineups in this preseason, even though someone like Galabissiere does look like he is ready for prime time. Willie Cauley-Stein has actually, I think, proven he's ready to be a starter in this league. He's going to play, but I don't know how happy you're going to be. And even Buddy Hield has been talked about not starting, even though they traded for him.
I think they saw what Buddy is, and it's not anything super exciting. I mean, Buddy's a points and threes guy who isn't terribly good on defense. And I keep telling everybody, I think Bogdanovich is Buddy Hield with defense.
If Bogdanovich is sitting around on your waiver wire right now, would you pick him up? 12 team.
Sitting around on my waiver wire, I mean, he's not the worst last round pick, so I mean maybe, but probably not. I don't have any faith that he's going to play him huge minutes. If I did, I'd be interested. I think he's going to be good. I think he's going to hit some threes. I think he's going to be able to score. I think he's going to be able to rebound a little bit.
I actually think he might play a little bit more minutes than we think he is, because I don't know how many people will fit that role. But man, you just don't know what's going to go on here, do you?
Well, they're committed to playing Temple at the 2, right? At least like 20, 25 minutes. Then you got Buddy, who's still going to play. You got Malachi Richardson, who they say they want to be in the rotation this year. And then you got Vince Carter, who might play some 3 just to get some minutes. So it's like, even though none of the options are great, they just seem to have a lot. Plus, you got to think they play Fox and George Hill together at least a little bit.
I have like what I've seen out of Fox, though. He does look like a NBA player in the making.
And everyone slagged him off, right? We talked about the rookie rankings when that part of the season was about, and I said that the 4-point guards are my top 4 players. I stand by that. I think Fox is going to be real good down the road. He's just not going to play a ton with George Hill around.
Fair. Let's go right back to Texas, to the San Antonio Spurs. There has been a bit of a point guard battle here, and it looks like Murray might be coming out on top.
So they're going to do the Spurs thing, which is what Pop always does, right? Which is he starts the third string guy when the starter is hurt, so the second team guy can play his usual role. I think that once Parker comes back, Murray probably doesn't play much at all. I honestly think that's the case. That Patty Mills is the backup, and he's going to let Patty Mills be the backup, and he's going to let Murray be the starter till Tony Parker's back.
That is a very Pop thing to do, and I think you're pretty dead on. But while Murray is starting, he's probably worth owning at the end of your draft in a 12-team league. I think he will.
Bad free throw percentage point guard. Don't know how many attempts he's going to shoot, but so he's for the right build. It's important to say that. Don't know how much he's going to play or what he's really going to do. You're right about that. The one case I wouldn't pick him is if I cared about my free throws, because he could shoot 3, 4, 5 attempts a game at some bad percentages.
Jerian Grant or Murray?
Jerian Grant.
Ooh, all right. We haven't seen too much out of Rudy Gay, but I assume he's not really trying to blow the roof off San Antonio in the preseason. It is promising that he is playing solid minutes. He's playing multiple games,
especially as soon as after he had that Achilles injury, right? I mean, that's the death nail for a lot of careers. It's good to see him back. He doesn't look great yet, but he's still kind of rounding into form. But he's not playing horrendously like some guys do off an Achilles. So I picked Rudy Gay in the Listener League, and with one of my last picks, we've seen what Rudy Gay can do, right? Rudy Gay has been a top 40 player. So you can get him now outside of the top 100 a lot of cases. I don't hate that. I don't hate that at all. Now he had an Achilles injury, so maybe that limits his value to being like a top 70 player is the best he can get to. Well, I mean, that's a nice little value if I can get it. And if he stinks, guess what I do? To the trash can. To the waiver wire. So,
and that's exactly what you want from a guy you pick late in the draft, and I think he's a great pick. Simply what you said, the upside is there. Kawhi is still out mysteriously, questionable. I think he is going to be ready for the season. If not for the first in the first couple of weeks, he'll be back. This is the increased role of LaMarcus Aldridge on this team, though. A lot of reports coming out of San Antonio about how Pop is reworking the offense around LaMarcus Aldridge to get him more involved. Does that make you want to draft LaMarcus maybe in the top 60?
I'm okay drafting LaMarcus where he's going and right in that kind of general area. I'm not reaching for him in any way, shape, or form. But, I mean, he's going 53 and 48. I'm fine with him there. But I'm a lot of times picking point guards there. We talk about that a lot. Sure, he's got the upside to be better than that, but it's the Spurs. They're going to let Kawhi do Kawhi things when Kawhi comes back. They got Rudy Gay now, who's been a good scorer in the past. They got Pau Gasol. They got LaMarcus Aldridge. I mean, I could see them sharing the ball quite a bit and LaMarcus just being okay.
All right, let's go on to Utah. Anything going on actually, we've skipped Toronto. Oh my gosh.
Apparently nothing's going on in Toronto.
Listen, it is too cold in Toronto. Not yet, I guess, but Toronto, anything up there? Norman Powell?
Looking like he's winning that starting job, right?
The Norman Powell fever yet?
No defensive stats from Normie. Don't love that. Don't love the 1.3 rebounds or 2 assists in 24 minutes. Normie's been shooting bad. I don't get the tinglies about Normie. He's fine for a last round pick, but I mean, I see some guys like really, Norman Powell needs to start. He's going to be great. Okay, well, I mean, he's going as a last round pick in pretty much every league. If you want him, go for him. I'm probably not going for him.
Yeah, I end up taking him off the waiver wire in our listener league. I think it's worth taking a shot, right? You know, he's shown that he can do a handful of things. CJ Miles also, looks like he might sneak his way into more minutes, depending on how he plays. But right? Yeah, he's nothing exciting.
Yep, he's going to do CJ Miles things.
Yep, that's an occasion he's going to be streaky and he's going to be great, and then he's going to fall off the planet, and you're going to drop him to the waiver wire just like you do every single year. Same with Valanciunas. Of course, he's going to look good until they stop playing him in the fourth quarter. He only plays 20-some minutes a game, so that's not going to be great for anyone. Anything else here in Toronto? Ananobi?
Uh, no, I mean, they got Ibaka, they got Valanciunas. They're going to be what they are, and there's nothing much to say.
All right, let's now go to Utah. Your boy Ricky Rubio been scoring a little bit more than you thought.
I think he's going to shoot a little bit more than he's shot in the past. Because I think they just need a scorer. I don't think that hurts his assists or steals. I think he's going to be great in those categories. Yeah, I love me some Ricky Rubio. Fine with taking him. I got him over Eric Bledsoe. So wherever Eric Bledsoe's going, in that kind of 30-35 range, I'm fine with Rubio there. And a lot of times I can get some good value on that pick.
Yeah, I will say that they've looked good in the preseason, but they've played the Kings, Maccabi, the Suns twice, and the Lakers. So it's not like they are playing.
Well, and Rubio's not even playing that good. I mean, scoring 11.6 points, but only on 35% shooting, 2.2 rebounds, 3.2 assists, the 1.8 steals. They're obviously very, very sexy. But Rubio's not playing that good, but everyone's just warming up here. I mean, I'm not looking too hard into these stats.
It's early. Joe Ingles has looked a bit lost in the preseason, but I'm not terribly worried about that. I think his starting spot is safe. Donovan Mitchell has looked very good in a handful of games. Are you
big on Ingles playing like a super ton of minutes? Because I don't know that I am.
I think he's going to play 30. Cephalosha might sneak in there, right?
Yeah, and Burks has been playing some, and I think that I don't know how long. I don't know how long he lasts, right? He's a bit of a pop gun, right? Eventually he just blows up. But
I think Ingles is a pretty good player. I think he's got he fits this team pretty well. I think he's gonna definitely have a spot on this roster, and right now it's the starting spot. And I don't know. I think he'll earn it here, even though his preseason looked bad. I'm not terribly worried about Joe Ingles. I'm just not drafting him in too many leagues.
Me neither, and the steals are real good from him, right? Even in limited minutes. I'm just always worried about these guys who are as old as Joe Ingles and have never played more than 24 minutes a game. I think he gets more than that this year, but I'm not saying it's 30. I'm saying it's like 26 to 28, and in my own personal thoughts, just because I think they got some other guys they're going to play over him. Could be wrong about that, but that's just kind of where I'm at right now.
Is Donovan Mitchell a standard league relevant player?
Donovan Mitchell's going to play minutes. Donovan Mitchell's not a standard league relevant player.
He's on my radar.
Donovan Mitchell, though, is a sexy scorer, man. Donovan Mitchell is slowly working his way up my favorite players to watch list.
Yeah, he's definitely on my radar now. Derek Favors has looked better than he has in the past, and even though he hasn't looked terribly amazing, he looks like he's going to be a little bit more of a offensive focal point.
Mini bounce back for Derek. Not to the levels he's been at, but going outside the top 100 in both Yahoo and ESPN 103, 123. I believe that he is a top 75 player this year.
Wow. All right. Shots fired. Let's finally go to our nation's capital, which used to be a very nice place. With the Washington Wizards, we got Markieff Morris out. We're seeing Jason Smith play his minutes here at the beginning of the season, so just pay attention to that. But other than that, I'm not seeing anything different than what we kind of thought was going to happen with this team.
No, not really. Some of these guys are just playing like real small amounts of minutes for them, which is a little bit surprising, but I guess not really. I just think these guys are going to be what they're going to be. I'll say a mention for Jody Meeks in a deep league. A points and threes type of guy, can just really nail the threes, maybe get you a steal. Not going to play a ton, but in like a 20-team league, Jody Meeks is the kind of guy I like to pick up and just enjoy the threes and the points for.
Yeah, fair. I think Meeks would be a decent, deeper round pick. Same with Jason Smith. I know he's a little bit older, but it looks like they're going to have him in the rotation as long as Morris is out, and then once Morris comes back, he'll probably in a deep league. He might still have some relevancy depending on how they rotate from using Smith at the 4. Gortat and Mahimi look like they're still going to share minutes, and that's exactly what we thought going into this season. And Oubre, has got a lot of talent there, but the minutes, we'll see.
Are you talking? Because you cut out.
Oh, yes, I was.
I couldn't tell if I was supposed to talk or if you were talking. You said "Kuh," and then it went, and then I
What
thought
did I
maybe.
say? Okay. So yeah, that's it for our preseason recap. If you like what you're hearing, please rate us, review us. That is the number one way you can help out our podcast. Tell a friend, tell your league, and it helps us continue to do what we are doing on this podcast and provide it out to the masses. Tyler, do you got anything to plug?
No, man, just enjoy your drafts this weekend. Enjoy life. It's a great day.
Wow.
Pick all the guys you want, and then go outside and enjoy maybe one of the last warm weekends of your year.
Jeez, that was uplifting until you're like the death throes of winter are going to come and touch you with his icy hands.
Hey, some people are into winter, man.
Yeah, those people are terrible.
You're still firing shots at everyone, man.
Yeah, you know what? I'm having a day of it. It's almost the weekend. I like to drive to winter. I don't like people who like winter. I don't think live. They live in a place that has seasons. People who don't like winter live in a place that has seasons. People who like winter either drive to winter or it's always freaking winter there. Like the Minnesotans and the Alaskans, those guys are crazy. And you know, I have a few of those as my friends, so I get it. I get why they're crazy. Winter will do that to you.
Winter is a interesting time of year.
Winter is coming. That's my man. Game of Thrones references this week. Tyler, where can we find you on Twitter?
You can find me at Watsy4444.
And you can find me at Watch the Boxes. Like Tyler said, enjoy your drafts this week. It is the best time of the year. Thanks for joining us, everybody, and good luck. Cool. Well, that is as long as I thought it would be.
How long was it? I wasn't really paying attention to the clock at all.
It was about 2 hours.
I figured you can't do it. You can't do all 30 in a short amount of time. Plus, we rambled too long at the beginning. When we knew we were doing all 30, we should have not started. We should have just fucked that intro and said, let's do this.
Yep. I might split it up. I might just leave it. People might like that. Who knows? We'll see.
I sometimes I feel like those get more listens because people chunk them. And I think some other things like they count them as more than one listen. Like you'll listen to like the first 45 minutes, hour, and then you'll come back and replay it and listen to the other 45 minutes or the hour because you like clicked it off your phone or whatever. And I think sometimes that counts as 2 listens. So sometimes I think those get more listens. But then there are also people who like say, "Oh, that's 2 fucking hours. I'm not listening to it.
Too long. I'm not gonna listen to it."
So like I don't know. I don't know how it works out.
Yeah. At this point, we can kind of experiment. We got a bunch of new listeners, so we can just see what happens.
Yeah.
It's. I mean, we're not going to put anything out over the weekend, and it's just draft time, so people might just be like, "I'm going to listen to it."
Yeah.
And just prepare for the draft, and then I mean, we're not going to be back till next week.
Dude, we got one podcast before it's fucking opening night. Holy shit.
Yeah. It's going to be great.
Craziness.
All right, man. I need to get this edited, so I will talk to you later.
All right, have a good one.
Yeah, man. See ya.